just going to kind of shoot the shit. It's a really, I like my podcast to just be unscripted and we just talk
Go
about
for it.
shit.
Yeah, that's kind of a
Yeah.
lot of the ways I do mine. So
Yeah, it's like we had a marketing call yesterday, and Memphis was like, "Oh, if you could let me know what guests you're going to have on and what you're going to be talking about," I'm like, "I don't even know what I'm talking about with Joe tomorrow."
yeah,
Like, yeah.
yeah, it's certain people. I think that's been the issue with my podcast is the fact that a lot of it is about the individuals, and I do have a basic idea of where I want to go. I want them to describe who they are, how they got into the business, and whatnot. And then we'll figure out some topic to work on. Like yesterday, I did a podcast with a local girl, local gal who just did the New England Tattoo Convention. So we talked about conventions a little bit, but she's also, she's 16 years in, which is good, but it's also her perspective on the business is just the last 5 years when it comes to conventions, and for me that's not nearly enough time to know the difference between a good convention and a bad convention. You know what I mean?
Well, that can change from year to year anyway.
Most certainly. Well, and that's what's happening, I think. I mean, what passes for a good convention now is a fucking nightmare as far as I'm concerned. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
so I will admit, I am insanely down on a lot of what's going on in the business right now. But by the same token, I understand that most people don't know any fucking better. So,
Well, speaking of not knowing any better, there's probably some people out here who don't even know who you are. So, is it
yeah,
okay?
that's something I've come to grow accustomed with over the last fucking 5-6 years.
Yeah.
Do you want me to make an introduction, basically?
Yeah, if you want, sure.
Yeah, sure. I'm Joe Capobianco. I've been tattooing since 1993, so this is 32 years tattooing. I own Hope Gallery in New Haven, Connecticut. I work up here with 7 other tattooers, excuse me. And we've been around now for 22 years, I think it is.
You sell yourself a little bit short, I think. You build some machines. You're a
Well, okay, I
painter.
did not build machines. I've got very talented friends.
Okay.
The machines that, yeah. So my first machine that I had done was I made a trip to Brazil. I hooked up with an artist, tattooer, supplier. Now he's mainly a supplier, but he did get back into tattooing for a time as for R&D. Named Paulo Fernando, who owns Electric Ink out of
Yeah.
Brazil.
Yeah.
Amazing. Everything that company makes, everything Paulo puts his fucking thumbprint on is fantastic. While I was out there, I had my machine made, which was called the Brick House, woman's leg kind of thing, kind of going in the theme with the pinup thing that I had going for me way back when. So we did that. I brought those to the States and sold quite a few of those over the years. And then I hooked up with Bishop and Franco Vescovi, and we put out the Betty, which was a rotary style machine, direct drive, same theme, the woman's leg, but a little bit more modernized. And that machine rocked as well. And now I'm still back and forth on rotaries and coils. Like, matter of fact, I pulled one of my brick house machines out just the other day and did some lettering on the back of a guy's arm. So I go back and forth all the time.
Are you using batteries yet?
I just can't get on. I can't get on that tip yet. I still am using a cord. I like the little nuances you can get with
Yeah.
a power supply. I also like the weight distribution of a cord versus the battery. And Electric Ink makes a great. Like I use their Ultra Pen 2, and I use their Ultra Pen 1, which is probably, as far as pens are concerned, and I'm going to go on. I'm going to say that I'm not as well versed on pen style rotaries because I've only used a handful. But these two machines, they have an adjustment, and it's a 4.0 stroke, and they have an adjustment on it to give you that proper give of a spring. And these two machines probably hit as close to a coil in a pen that I've ever used. The only thing I don't like about it is lining with cartridge liners, because I just don't like lining. I like needles on the bar versus cartridge liners. But as far as shading and stuff, fuck, these things they're wonderful. You can hit as soft as you want, as hard as you want. Probably as close to a fucking, like I said, a coil as I've ever come to.
Yeah. Yeah, machines have definitely advanced a lot over the
Oh,
past
yeah,
10 years,
and
especially.
they haven't. I think that most of it is just playing tricks with prices. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. Yeah. That's an interesting topic because, you still have people out there charging, 900 upwards of $1,000 for machines. And then you can go on Amazon now and buy basically Chinese machines that do all the same stuff for,
I think that's what we're starting to see a lot more of is because a lot of big name tattooers that were sponsored, back in the day, I think a lot of them realized, I shouldn't say realized, but I think a lot of them just felt that they were being taken advantage of. Some of them woke up and smelled the coffee and said, "Yeah, I'm not making you money anymore. Like just for a fucking, a $50 machine, that you're spending $1,000 on, whatever selling for $1,000." And I think they also come to the realization that it's not always Eric here puts it perfectly. It's not the bat, it's the batter. You know what I mean? And I think that's something that a lot of older tattooers have come to the realization of, and I think it's something that new tattooers don't know the difference between a good machine and a bad machine, which is a conversation I've had with quite a few people where it's like if you've never used a coil and the only excuse is it's too heavy or too difficult to use, then you don't know the benefits of using a coil. You know,
right.
your idea, you would have been the guy back in the day that whenever you broke a spring, you put that in a drawer and then you went out and bought a brand new machine from somebody.
Right. Well, you just said it, the difference in line work between a coil and a rotary. You can't even match it.
Exactly. I think that's something I took a lot of shit from Jimmy Litwalk back in the day because he would, I was the first one to jump on rotaries for a long time, and he was just like, dude, your line work used to be so much better when you were, using coils. And my response was, I was like, yeah, dude, I was also 10 years younger. My hands aren't what they used to be. Like everything changes, man. But after getting berated by him for fucking a couple of years, you do pick up the coils and you sit back and go, why the fuck did I put these down? You know?
Yeah.
Now it's more out of laziness and convenience to be able to pick up a pen or some other kind of cartridge rotary machine than it is about liking it more. That's pretty much it.
Well, it's the ease of use. It's like when you go back to using coils, it's like you have to have, two, three coils out on you got a liner, unless you're changing your needle setup in between. But,
Right.
with a rotary, it's just so much easier to just pop a cartridge in, pop another one out. Poop, poop,
Exactly.
poop.
I mean, it's funny. One of the things that I've noticed was like for most tattoos, I would do, two liners, two shaders with needles on the bar. With these cartridges, I notice I'm now setting up three liners. I'm setting up three shaders. Or I may start with two and then get halfway through and go, oh, 19 mag would go great at this point, and you just pull out another cartridge. I've ended tattoos where I've got 7 fucking cartridges on the fucking table, and I'm like, the fuck were you thinking? You know what I mean? So it does make it a little bit easier to just simply go, bah, fuck it, I'm just going to grab another cartridge and
Yeah.
I'll knock this out quicker.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I've been listening to your podcast a lot lately. It's been really interesting to hear some perspectives of people on there and some of the stuff you've been talking about, and
I appreciate that.
particularly around education. And I just saw one you had the other day. You guys were talking about some apprenticeships and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems to be a pretty hot topic in the industry now, and I'd love to talk some with you about that.
Yeah, sure. Definitely.
How do you feel about tattooing today in the mainstream? It's very mainstream now. It's got a lot. It's very much different than it was
Yeah.
10 or 20 years ago.
I think my issue with it is it's become very watered down. And in getting watered down, what I think has happened is it's become the norm. You know what I mean? It was like, back in the day when, somebody had a hustle, everybody, would bitch about it. But you had people that were just like, oh, don't knock somebody else's hustle. And I'm like, yeah, that's great. But when the hustle becomes the norm, I now have a fucking problem with the hustle. And I think that's what we're seeing happen is the fact that, you've got shops that are, that are churning out apprentices, or worse, they're not even churning them out. They're bringing in people to apprentice. They're dropping them within a month, 2 months, 6 months. They're giving them just enough knowledge to go out there and just say, yeah, I apprenticed. Or not even, I'm going to try to apprentice. I'm just going to start tattooing and tell people I've been tattooing. Now, granted, that was something that we did back in the day. If you tattooed for 6 months as an apprentice, when somebody came into your chair, you didn't tell them you had only been tattooing for 6 months. You told them you'd been tattooing for 3 years,
Right.
you know, because they didn't need to know.
Right.
But I think now it's just become more of a norm. And again, everything's been so watered down that people are okay with someone who's been tattooing 6 months versus somebody who's been tattooing 6 years, because there's more of the connection of age, you know, how old they are compared to the old guy, you know what I mean? Which is something I've been dealing with for the last fucking 10 years. It changes a lot. I think that we need to put our thumb on it a little bit, and you can call this fucking gatekeeping all you fucking want. It's not. It's just wanting to maintain a status quo, I guess, or just basically just control it a tiny bit, because things are getting out of hand. So by saying putting your thumb on it, it's just like, yeah, dude, like if you've already apprenticed 1 or 2 people, try not to apprentice fucking 3 or 4 more unless you find them to be deserving. Most
Right.
of the people I know that are bringing in apprentices, the apprentices aren't worth what they should be if they're getting into the business. They're not showing any kind of great talent for art or drawing or technique. They're just fucking another body in the shop, and I think that's kind of a ridiculous thing, you know.
Yeah, I feel like you know, I started an ink company 3 years ago with the Electrum Ink, and ever since that happened, which in retrospect, had I known what was going to be happening with government oversight and regulations and how difficult it is to own an ink company now,
Yeah.
you know, if I would have known all that 3 years ago and I decided, oh, it'll be a great idea to start an ink company, I would have never started an ink company. But I'm glad that I did, because I've gotten such exposure and insight into the regulatory side of the business now.
Which is an important thing.
It's very important, but it's also really highlighted how out of control things are, you know, like, and how uneducated the artist base is out here. Like, it's pretty scary, you know? So like, I wrote an article in Skin and Ink magazine around gatekeeping, you know, and it was like, because what I see, you know, especially with TikTok and how popular TikTok is now, I mean, dude, it blows my mind. You go on TikTok and you're scrolling and you just see people picking up these tattoo kits off of Amazon.
Right.
And they have shit ink in them. You know, I mean, they're spending literally like 50 or 60 bucks for a machine.
Yeah, we all know you do not buy pigment from China.
Dude.
You don't know what the fuck is in it. You know?
But that's the thing. People they don't even care. There's just like, but they have no interest in the tattoo industry at all. They just think it's cool. I'm going to go get this $40 tattoo kit off of Amazon. I'm going to go tattoo on my husband. I mean, Joe, I saw a video the other day. They weren't even wearing gloves. You know, they're just tattooing on their friends with no gloves.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, this shit's out of control. Like, you know,
You see it every single day. There's a gal I follow who's now getting into it. She's a influencer, fucking model, fucking OnlyFans girl, whatever. She's getting into it. She's been tattooing the shit out of her boyfriend, and it's one of those things. It's like nothing is covered in plastic. Nothing. Now I get it. You're in your home, you know, you're tattooing a dude you're sleeping with, whatever. But the fact of the matter is, you have to maintain a certain amount of decorum when it comes to what things look like. Is everything on the surface covered in plastic? Is your spray bottle covered in plastic, or your squirt bottle covered in plastic? Your machine is barely covered in plastic. And then you're touching each other with. I mean, I get the situation, but you do want to put your best foot forward when it comes to how professional you are. Because if you came to me for a job and I saw any of this, I just tell you, go fuck yourself. You have no fucking clue, and you obviously don't have the respect for what it is that you're trying to get into. That why would I give you a fucking chance? You've not proven to me that you're capable of doing anything except that what you're told.
yeah,
I think one of the things that set apprentices apart from 20 years ago was the fact that you didn't have to be told every little fucking thing. You figured stuff out on your own because you had no fucking choice. You were 9 times out of 10, you were thrown into the fucking deep end. And part of the reason you were brought on was because you had a fucking brain. Now it's like, oh, you got $5,000 burning a hole in your pocket? You could apprentice here. Oh, you could push a broom, and and you got fucking parents that'll put up with your shit and front every bit of money you need. But while you're apprenticing, yeah, you could apprentice here. That's not a true apprenticeship.
right. Yeah, I think, but my perspective is that it's a little bit too hard to control in a traditional apprenticeship
Oh, most certainly.
model anymore because of social media and because of how mainstream social media has made tattooing.
Yeah.
You know, you've got 50 aspiring wannabe tattoo artists to every qualified veteran that could possibly teach them the right way.
Exactly.
I mean, it's impossible to teach people the right ways to do things. So that's why you're left with what you see now, like on TikTok, where you see these people just picking up these $50 kits off of Amazon and doing this stuff in their houses.
Yeah.
And they're really destroying the integrity of the industry by doing it.
And the funny thing is, you know, we often say it's like the amount of young cats coming into the business now that are fucking tremendous, that are really blowing shit up. They're doing phenomenal work. They are one in hundreds sometimes. You know what I mean? Because you got to look at it from the perspective of, yeah, that guy's amazing. There are literally 70 people in his city that are now doing it as well, or in his state that are now doing it as well, that are fucking horrid.
Right.
But, you know, 1 out of 70, why not? And I wish I knew what the actual numbers were. I mean, obviously, I'm just throwing numbers off the top of my head. But it is, every now and again, it does feel that way, that you sit back and you're like, Jesus, this is just insane. You know, the amount of people that come into the shop now and they're just like, oh, would you mind looking at my work? And I know they're working up the street. Just happened yesterday. Dude working up the road. And he was just like, yeah, cool, man. You're not bad, but you need to get into a fucking shop. And it's not going to be in this one. You know, nothing against him personally. We just don't have I don't want to bring in an apprentice. I've never had an apprentice. Eric here has had one apprentice back in the day. I didn't like the fact that he did it. It was whatever. I'm not going to get into the details on that. Yeah. But it's one of those situations where it's like, man, it's a lot of responsibility. And I've not met anybody that I was like, yeah, I should bring you in because I think that you'd make a great tattooer. I think there's entirely too many pitfalls in a shop like this. You watch the way everybody else works, you're going to learn more bad habits than you're going to learn good, you know? Not to say that there's a lot of good that can come out of our shop. I just don't want the responsibility.
Yeah, so I think I was triggered to write that article in Skin and Ink just because of my exposure to the regulatory side of things and just kind of seeing the direction things are going from a government vantage point.
So let me ask you a question. I'm not going to get into who I spoke to, but there were two individuals that I wanted to do the podcast with, discussing the regulatory end of things. Two people who are heavily involved in what's going on with the pigment thing, and they both were kind of like, hey, you know what? We're going to pump the brakes a little bit and see what happens with this administration because they're cutting the chafe. Like, I mean, dude, look at all the fucking government jobs that have gone nowhere.
Yeah.
So they're or gone away, I should say. And they're basically like, yeah, we're going to wait and see because if we don't have to poke the bear, we're just going to see what happens, you know? And it was one of those things I'm like, fuck, that would be crazy if that's going to be what happens, you know? Have you seen any of that? Have you seen things lighten up on your end?
No.
Now, let me ask you a question. Do you think it's because it is no longer about the government looking to protect us? It's more about companies like Revlon and all these other bullshit douchebag fucking corporations that basically just want to fucking put their fucking foot on our throats and make us deal with their bullshit regulations and buy their bullshit products?
Could be some. Could be. I mean, it's a theory for sure. I mean, a lot of people speculate that to be the case. Yeah. Why wouldn't it be? I mean, we're a multi-billion-dollar industry now. Of course, people that have big bank accounts are looking in here and saying, how can I get a piece of that?
Oh yeah, dude. I mean, the worst thing I had seen was when I was listening to individuals make the argument that technically anything that's bad for you in the pigment is encompassed in something that is not. It's inert. So it sits in your system and nothing happens to it unless you cook yourself on the fucking sun or get lasered. Okay.
Exactly.
It's not going to harm you. So you could put out a thing and say, well, you can't get lasered. Now you have a bunch of fucking doctors coming forward and go, whoa, whoa, whoa. The laser industry is fucking huge right now because there's motherfuckers making mistakes every fucking day. Okay. So we need to take advantage of those mistakes because that's fucking money. We have a company up here called the Removery. Okay. They started going out and buying up all the different fucking people that had lasers and any company that was doing it. And Connecticut's fucked because it's a difficult thing. Somehow these guys got the money to fucking grease the fucking wheels to now there's dozens of these fucking places. I know people that work for them that used to do lasering before. A fucking tattoo that would take 5 sessions to not remove completely, but remove enough that I can cover it with anything, is now taking 15. A tattoo like that may have cost the person 2,000, 2,500 is not going to cost them 10 grand.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
Yeah.
Bullshit. It's not. You're not trying to protect the person. You know what I mean? I've tattooed over both those types of skin. There's no fucking difference except one I can go back into within a year. The other one I can't start for 3 years because they're dragging the fuck out of it because that's where the money is. That to me is aggravating, and that's where I get angry at the fact that our business has grown so large, and a lot of us just weren't prepared for it. And again, you could say that's our fault. You can say that as an older tattooer, man, you got to roll with the fucking times. Dude, I've been rolling with the times for 30 fucking 2 years. I'm sick and tired of fucking rolling with the times.
Yeah.
And especially now, because nothing makes any fucking sense anymore.
Yeah, I don't really look at it like I used to sit here and ponder like, oh, whose fault is it? You know what I mean? But I just think it's an evolutionary process, right? It's not really, it's just the nature of evolution. I mean, it's going to happen regardless, So it's just like, loyal to the coil. I mean, it just goes as basic as that. It's like there's some guys that are out there still saying, fuck those rotary machines. I'm never going to use a rotary. But
and again, I've often said that the old school is not going to go away. I mean, there are guys still mixing pigments, still mixing powders. You know what I mean? They are still selling it online. Granted, if they get pinched, they're going to go down. You know what I mean? But the fact of the matter is, it still exists out there. I mean, that's been the one nice thing about our industry, and the thing that people are going to come out and say is, dude, if I can't buy needles from fucking a supplier, or it's no longer available because of tariffs, whatever, it's too expensive, I can make my own needles. Nobody wants to go back to that, but the fact of the matter is, motherfuckers will go back to that.
Yeah,
I've got friends that have apprentice people, and they taught their apprentices how to make needles. You know what I mean? They taught them how to make a tube. You know what I mean? Like, it's silly shit now, or you could say it's silly shit now, because I don't entirely believe that's the case. I think there's something really good about that, to know that you went through all that and you know that. I mean, that's more than I know. You know what I mean? When I got into this business, I didn't have to make needles. We were already pre-buying needles. You know what I mean?
Right.
It was my wife who busted my fucking balls to learn how to, because she's a tattooer as well. She used to make all of her own needles. When she heard, like, she's in the shop making needles, she goes, "What do you mean you've never made needles?" And I'm like, "Never had to." And I looked at it as like, who fucking cares?
Right.
And she was like, "Get the fuck over here right now. You're making needles." And we sat down and made needles. So it's like, it's one of those things where I'm not proud of that by any stretch. And it's funny to hear me complain about that, the other side. But I contradict myself all the time, so I really don't fucking care.
Yeah. No, but to answer your question, with the current administration, and from my own personal perspective, I'm kind of like, yeah, let's wait and see what happens. But also at the same time, I'm kind of like, yeah, I'm already got momentum going on this. I'm not going to sleep on it. I'm just going to keep going because honestly, I want the products that I'm putting out there for artists to use to be the safest that they possibly can be.
Which is a noble reason to do it.
Yeah. And I've gained a ton of knowledge, man. Like, to some degrees, I think the regulation is kind of what the industry needs because, for example, there's thousands of products out there being sold to artists today.
Right.
And we hardly know what any of them are, Yeah. Lidocaine is a big one. That's a big, big problem.
I heard you talking about this on the first podcast. And, dude, I agree wholeheartedly with that shit, dude. The amount of shortcuts that are being made available to clients or that clients are trying to force on their tattooers can just be simply fucking dangerous.
I mean, it puts you at risk as an artist.
Yeah, exactly.
And the artist generally doesn't even know that they're putting themselves at risk.
No, exactly. Dude, those two cats the two tattooers from Brazil, that dude dropped dead on the fucking table, those motherfuckers are lucky they weren't in the fucking room. Because if they were in the fucking room when that cocksucker had a fucking heart attack, they'd be in fucking prison right now. Because nobody's gonna look at that as you not being responsible, and you know full well the fucking anesthesiologist is gonna throw those motherfuckers under the bus.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's when all the rats are gonna scurry. So those guys are fucking lucky. And the worst part about that whole situation is it's not gonna change a goddamn thing. There's still some fucking soccer guy or fucking baseball, whatever rapper that's gonna that has the money and just assumes it's 1 out of 100. What's the possibility of happening to me?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like Russian roulette, man. I don't like to play those games. You know what I mean? I like to try to stay in the safe zone as much as I can.
Yeah.
You know,
We had
we
a couple of numbing creams that we had to make available for people because it was just such a pain in the ass. And it got to a point where it's like, well, at least we know this one works. We know people heal with it, well with it. It doesn't affect our tattooing, but you get like an hour and a half out of it. It's not
yeah,
some crazy shit. Every now and again, someone will come in with some crazy shit, and 9 times out of 10, we won't even be able to start the tattoo because they'll be so fucking red and inflamed that you're just like, okay, cool. Come back in a fucking week and we'll book you another appointment, but don't use this shit again. You know?
oh, because they already put it on before they even came in.
Exactly. They just roll in covered in plastic. You know?
Yeah,
The
yeah.
most I use now, I use a thing called Band-Aid from Johnson and Johnson. I've been using it. Rodney Raines was the first one who introduced me to it back in fucking God, probably '99. You know what I
That,
mean? And
that little
I
blue
use it.
bottle.
Yeah, it's a little blue bottle. You buy
Yeah.
it at CVS. CVS makes their own version of it. Whatever. It's 2% lidocaine, 2.5% lidocaine, and it's one of those things where it doesn't make it numb. It just takes the edge off. I won't get tattooed without it, to be honest with you. Like
Yeah.
when I got the side of my neck tattooed by Teresa Sharp, dude, I wanted to fucking strangle her. Like she hurt so bad, like to the point where I'm like, oh my God, 3 hours in, and I took a break, and I'm looking, and she's not even halfway. And I brought the blue stuff with me, and I'm like, hey, do me a favor, could you please fucking use it? And she goes, oh, I didn't use it. I'm like, yeah, you didn't use it. And she goes, well, how am I supposed to use it? I'm like, you see that dry rag you've been wiping me with for the last 3 hours? Soak that bitch down. And every time you touch me with it, just make sure it's wet. That's all you have to do. There's no prep work. There's nothing. And she's like, well, I don't use any ointment or I'm like, I am well aware that that rag is dry as a fucking bone. I get it.
What is that? 60 grit?
Exactly, dude. I swear to God, she did that within 2 minutes. I calmed the fuck down. Every time she touched me, it was annoying, but it wasn't that, oh my God, I need to swing at her. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And it works. So it's for me personally, I use it every single time I get tattooed. Even if it's I can't say small ones, anything it's going to be over 3 hours. And it makes sense, And I use it on clients. Anybody who sits for longer than 2 hours in my chair, I usually use it on them. And I don't tell them, I just use it on them. And at the end of the tattoo, they're like, you really don't hurt that much. And I'm like, yeah, go figure.
Yeah. Yeah, I think artists got to get a lot better at asking questions about the products they're using for sure.
Most certainly, yeah. Well, because a lot of it is all coming out of, I mean, I don't, it was a couple of years ago, the amount of fucking numbing creams that were coming down the pipe in my emails was ridiculous, all out of China. And I'm like, dude, I'm not buying it. Like, who the fuck are these people? You know what I mean? And all they're doing is finding every single tattooer they can send it to, and they're just churning shit out. Now, you could say that, okay, there's only 3 big factories in China, so how bad can it be? It's all coming from the same fucking place. But by the same token, you still have no fucking clue, and you don't know until. Do you remember back in the day when Sustain? We're talking back in like '99, 2000, when the product called Sustain hit the tattoo scene. It was a little bottle, white top, clear, and it was a blue gel. And what you would do is you would do your entire line work, and then you would cover the tattoo with this blue gel, let it sit on it for a little bit, and then as you're working, you'd kind of wipe it off, whatever. That stuff ruined more tattoos inside of 6 months because it took that long for the word to get out that you don't do that. Like I watched Philip Blue and Tintin do an entire back piece at Paul Booth's Tattoo the Earth in Worcester, Massachusetts. I watched them both come back the following year, and I watched Philip redo the entire back piece because this thing just turned into a giant fucking scab.
Really?
Nobody knew what it was. I think, honestly, it's actually made to make men's penis fucking numb while they're having sex. I think. I'm not positive. I'm pretty certain that's what it's supposed to say. And they're using it on tattoos, and it was wrecking tattoos because if you didn't wipe it off the skin and you let it get under the skin, which is where it does not fucking belong, that tattoo is guaranteed to fucking scab. Anybody who's been tattooing for more than 20, 30 years, I guarantee they know what Sustain is.
Yeah. Well, that's we're still faced with those same kind of things today. I mean, there's tons of products out there that people just don't, you don't hardly ever see latex gloves in the tattoo industry anymore.
I'd be honest, I still wear latex.
But a lot of people don't.
Yeah, no, again, everything is nitrile. I mean, 2 of my guys here don't, but everybody else does. But clients are pretty good on our release forms, you know, and they're pretty good. When they see you pull out a pair of gloves, they're like, oh, by the way, I have a latex allergy. And in all the years I've been tattooing, I've only had 2 allergic reactions. One was for latex and one was for A&D ointment. And the A&D ointment was my first 6 months tattooing. Freaked me the fuck out, so we don't use A&D in it anymore. Although A&D today is different than 30 years ago.
Think about some of the bandages that we're using, you know, like the second skins and those kinds of things, and just the adhesives that people use on those. You know, we don't know what the adhesives are all the time.
Yeah, definitely.
Are we going to have allergies to those adhesives or the
And
material that
again,
those bandages are made
you're
out
seeing
of?
more and more of it. You're seeing more and more of it. And then the biggest issue is the biggest risk I think we run is because the business has gotten so fucking huge that when shit goes sideways, it's going to go mad sideways. We're back in the day, like I said, Sustain started fucking people up. Within 6 months, everybody knew it because a bunch of people were using it. A bunch of people were talking to one another. Now, you got people that they don't talk to anybody. Shit, they probably don't even see their clients half the time after they left and had an issue, you know? So if things go sideways, it has a chance of going sideways that much quicker. You know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
agree
Well,
with what you were talking about with pigments. I think that it's important that we know, like back in like the mid 90s, there was an issue. I won't mention the company. They shipped all their pigment overseas to Europe and decided to not put alcohol in it, thinking, what's the big fucking deal? It all fucking germinated and started getting used on clients, and everybody in the UK got mad infections. And when everybody circled back around, it went right back to the distributor, and their fucking fault, because in order to get past customs, they took the alcohol out of the pigment and just shipped it off. Now, I don't know if the people on the other end were told to, hey, make sure you put alcohol in these things, or they just neglected to tell them and they figured out they'll use it before it goes bad.
yeah, Europe just banned benzyl alcohol in tattoo pigments a couple months ago.
Really?
Yeah. So
Well,
they're constantly changing the regulations over there, you know.
yeah. Oh, I know that the whole thing with the EU, whatchamacallit, the compliant, what do they call that pigment?
Reach.
The reach compliant. I know a lot of people that have complained about it. Some people just don't seem to care. I think a lot of younger tattooers just don't know the difference yet, you know. But do you remember when you used to use like, you know, Dermaglow
Yeah.
versus using Nationals fucking powders, and you go,
Yeah.
what the fuck? It's like
Yeah.
that's on a different planet.
Yeah. I was at a buddy's shop, well, maybe about a year ago or so, and he pulled out some old, I mean, I've never even seen this stuff. I was like, dude, what time period is this tattoo ink from? Like,
Yeah.
he's like, I've been having this stuff back on the shelf since 1940. I'm like, what are you
Well, dude, when I worked with Corey Kruger up north in New Hampshire, we spent 2 years mixing pigments, and I
Yeah.
did it for a year after I moved to Connecticut, and then I got to a point where I'm like, I can't do this anymore. This is annoying, dude. It's a pain in the dick. But I used powders for probably 6 years, you know,
Yeah.
as I was running out, it was slowly getting replaced with Eternal because Tramp had just started Eternal. And I bought a set of pigments for the guys at the shop when I came back from Motor City. And then eventually I would slowly start to include some of the Eternal, which I still didn't like as much as I like my powders. And then eventually I hooked up with electric ink, and then I started getting powders from because that was powder from Brazil, and I started using his pigments, and I've been using electric ink pigments now since 96, not 96, from 2000, I think it was 2006 or 2008. I think I started using all electric ink stuff and never looked back. I'm still using all their stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. Yeah. I know they've done really good down south of the border in Latin America.
Yeah, well, it's also like I was out in Brazil back in 2018, and I did the walk around of the factory. He had just opened up this brand new factory, and dude, I was blown the fuck away by the amount of. Dude, they have 3 biochemists on staff. He's got 2 electrical engineers, 2 fucking not graphic designers, but 2 engineers that just design the pens. Like Paulo will come up with the basic idea and they say, okay, make this work. And then these engineers are the ones that are actually putting it together for him, or building, figuring it out for him. But dude, I was blown away by the ink making manufacturing situation there. Like, I truly am. Like they've gotten to the point now, and this is why I toot their horn so much. When I was there, they were in the process of building a second part to the factory where they were going to start manufacturing sharps and do a whole needle thing. So now the only thing I think that comes from China might be the motors for their rotaries. Everything else is now being manufactured in Brazil, down to the fucking sharps that they're using to make needles. And I think that might still be they're beyond baby steps. I know that because I watched Paulo and I'm watching him I'm watching him show these sharps off under a fucking crazy microscope. But I was genuinely blown away by that. And it's funny because I'll say something like this, it'll get out there, and then fucking 9 cats from Brazil will be like, "Fuck Electric Ink, it's bullshit, blah blah blah. It's all Chinese crap, and he charges too much." And I'm like, "No, been there. It's not. He's legit. Like, sorry, I know you don't like him because he makes money, and all you Brazilians like to fucking brag about how much money you make. So it's not like he's the only one. Everybody likes to show off their cars and shit.
Yeah.
So it's like seeing that and getting to know people, which is why I do that. I mean, when I bought the Eternals back in the day, I remember getting more for the guys at the shop, and I'd reached out and I called Tramp up, and he just sent me the pigments for free. And I'm like, whoa. I'm like, dude, these aren't even for me. I'm like, this is for the guys in my shop. I use powders. And his response to that was, he goes, "Joe, after you came to that table at the Detroit show and bought a full set of pigments," he goes, "Do you know how many sets of pigments we sold?" And I'm like, okay, so now I'm mad. You told me that, because you just told me I made you thousands of dollars and I don't even use your shit. So that's why I don't push the sponsorship thing anymore. It's like, I look at things as I put a hashtag, it's a friendship, not a sponsorship. I did that with Brazil. I did it with Franco. For years, people were buying, Bishop machines because they saw me using it. I would go to a convention. People would buy my machines at the end of a convention. I went went to UK. I brought 6 machines with me. I came home with none because people just like, "How do I get that?" I'm like, "Well, you can call fucking Bishop, or I could just buy that one. How much do you sell that one for?" And I'm like, "All right, cool. Here you go." And then I go back and I'd buy, 4 more machines. To Franco's credit, he would sell them to me at like wholesale.
Yeah.
Instead of spending $350 on a machine, I was spending $180 on a machine. So that's why I could feel good about like, you know what? Cool. If people like your stuff because I'm using it, great. I'm not sponsored. I'm not going to tell anybody I'm sponsored. And when I start using something else because it's better, I'll be the first one to fucking say it, and I don't have to feel bad about it. Which, I mean, I'm sure you see that on your end because you're sponsoring artists all the time. How many times are people, you maybe cut back on your sponsorship? Because this is something you're hearing a lot from artists, where suppliers are now starting to cut back. "Oh, you only get a budgeted amount of equipment that you could buy." And people are like, "Well, fine, fuck it. I'll go someplace else and get my shit for free from them." But we're all seeing that come around where everybody's like, "Yeah, we're not doing free rides no more."
Sponsorships are hard.
I could just imagine.
From a company perspective, they're hard. And the fact that I'm an artist also makes it even harder because I want to help all my friends out. But the problem is, there's a lot of people that want to be my friend now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
And then I'm just like, how do you keep things fair? And how do you treat everybody equally? And how do you make everybody happy? And it's impossible.
Especially in this business, dude, because it's all about being bros,
It's impossible, dude. I mean, honestly, I'm not a big fan of the whole sponsorship model. I can't, I've never been able to find a way to make it where it's like an equal 2-way street. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
And that's the tricky part of it. It's like you need artists to help promote you and help your brand get recognition. And you want the artists that you're associated with to be talking about your brand with their peers. And, you want them to like your product because they genuinely like using your product. But a lot of times that's not the case. They just want some free stuff. And then sometimes you'll even see artists at shows that are sponsored by you and they're using an entirely different product. And you're like, what the fuck? Like,
it's aggravating. I couldn't imagine, man. We did a supply thing out of the shop quite a few years ago.
Yeah.
And people were coming in and I only carried stuff from Brazil. I carried whatever we used in the shop. You know what I mean? And whenever people would come in, they were like, "Well, you only carry Easy Glow. When are you going to get Eternal?" I'm like, "We're not." And they're like, "Well, why not?" And I'm like, "Because this is better." And they're like, I was like, have you ever used this? And they're like, no. I was like, you see all the artists in my shop? And they're like, yeah. And like, go to anybody's fucking room right now, see what they're doing, ask them what they think about the pigment. And they're going to tell you straight up, yeah, this is good stuff. Yeah, I can show you tattoos that I did fucking 6 years ago with these pigments. I can show you the same stuff with Eternals, with powders. I like this stuff better. And if that's not good enough for you, do me a favor. There's the fucking door. I was granted my supply company lasted 2 years
Yeah.
because of my attitude.
Yeah.
If hearing it from me isn't good enough, then go fuck yourself, man. Like I'm a professional. I've got fucking time in. I get nothing out of this except you're buying a product that I make a little bit of money off of. I'm not doing it because I'm looking to hook anybody else up. I'm giving you what I use and my perspective on that. And if that's not good enough for you, then fine, go listen to some other fucking tattooer and jump down that fucking, try to climb that fucking tree.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough, man. It is tough. We literally sit around in our management meetings at the company and we talk about, how can we do this and make this better? We just actually revamped our whole program here recently and started Electrum Insiders. And because we get so many emails from artists that are like, how can I be sponsored? And it's like, you can't possibly sponsor every single person that wants to be sponsored, right?
No,
like
you wouldn't have any clients.
you'd be broke. Like you would just be broke. So we started that Insiders program basically to give everybody an opportunity to be part of the brand without necessarily having to sponsor the whole entire world. But
right.
But
like I said, I couldn't even imagine. That is an uphill fucking struggle.
it is, because when we started this company, I was just traveling with all of my friends, like the people that I tattooed with, like we were going to Comic-Cons and, we were going to, Geekster Inc. shows, the Wizard Worlds and C2E2 in Chicago. And I mean, it was just a group of like 30 to 40 artists, we were all super tight. Yeah. And those were the guys that were our core group when we first started our brand, so it was easy with those guys because they legit were our friends and our family, basically, so it was easy with those guys.
The one thing I noticed with all that stuff is it's like once word gets out, everything starts to splinter. And guys who were your boys back in the day are now doing their own fucking thing. And it's like, there's a lot of that. And I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing because like, when you look at what happened on the West Coast where like, you have, Inkies or I don't remember the name of the companies, but you have that company and then all of a sudden it's like Carlos Torres goes from being a sponsor to now it's like, well, I don't want sponsorship anymore. I want to own part of it. And that's something you're seeing a lot of tattooers do. And you got a lot of guys being like, go fuck yourself, dude. This is my company.
Right.
They're like, well, the only way you're going to get my blessing is if you make me part of it. Again, kudos to the artists that are doing that. I think that's great. But again, there's only so many spots for those artists. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I mean? Like, not everybody can own the brand that they're part of.
But what do you give back for that? I mean, I've seen some artists that have had like licensing deals with products. Like some Ink Master guys, for example. They'll go on TV and they'll get famous on Ink Master or whatever, and then they'll come out with some licensing deal from a company. Let's just say like Mad Rabbit or any of these other companies. You know what I mean? They might see some celebrity and they may want to attach their brand to that person. So they'll give that person a licensing deal. Well, part of that licensing deal is you got to promote the product, right? Like you basically are agreeing to be the spokesperson for this product.
Yeah.
And then the artist just fails to follow through on that end.
And then they should be pulled.
But then it ends up being the company that gets shit on for that.
Well, so here's the thing with that. I think comes from the standpoint of like, first of all, if an Ink Master is doing something, how many of us in our industry really give a fuck? Now, granted, the big business has gotten a lot bigger, so there are probably quite a few. But I think that when it comes down to, if you're signing a fucking contract, you just entered the big times, man. Like, you're a big boy now. So act like it and live up to your fucking responsibilities. Again, part of the reason I don't want sponsorships is because I don't want to jump through hoops for other people just for fucking free merch, unless I'm getting paid really well. Like, dude, I said this often with the TV show. When I did the TV show, we did it for 3 seasons, which was like 3 fucking years. It was a nightmare. Okay? I straight up said, I'm like, you got me. I was me. I was the real person. I was Joe Capobianco. I didn't play act at being anything other than I was. I am loud. I am obnoxious. I can pick a fight with anybody. Okay. I was not asked to act that way. Now, if I was getting paid more, I would have done whatever the fuck they had told me. Pick a fight with somebody, bring it. Otherwise, I'm not going to do it unless I have to. You know what I mean? And that was the thing. If you pay me enough, then yeah, then we'll talk about being a fucking actor, because that's what the TV shows have become now. It's more about acting, you know. And now I think you've got more people willing to play the game where they don't have to trick people into fucking, oh, we're going to use this scene, but we're going to put it in this scene. You know what I mean? Because that's when he acted out. Now they'll just be like, okay, if you want to stick around, you're going to have to fucking go into that room and fucking pick a fight. And they're like, done. And they'll fucking do it. You know, where they should be looking at it from the standpoint of like, yeah, well, why don't you pay me, man? Like, if you want an actor, then pay me as a fucking actor. And again, that's part of it. Too many people in the business. So if you say no, there's a dozen people that will say yes.
Right.
So I think the same thing with supplies. I think when you do something like that and you are sponsored, you can simply, those suppliers can go, all right, cool, fuck off. We'll get the next guy, because they'll do it. You know what I mean? So that's the risk you take. But you as a supplier, now you run the risk of, well, I want somebody that actually has some legs underneath them. I want somebody that's admired, is good at what he does, and will actually fucking back us. And I think those are becoming harder and harder to find, not from the talent standpoint, but from the fucking, the loyalty standpoint, or just the integrity standpoint. Because everybody, like I said, they were standing there with their fucking hands out, you know?
Yeah, I think it was interesting because I went to Chicago show a couple weeks ago, and I was talking to some of my friends there. You know, I talked to Tara from Fusion, and Tara was saying, you know, oh, they've downsized a lot of their pro team, but they had an artist working in their booth who I'd never heard of. I mean, she was a relatively new artist, maybe only 2 or 3 years in the industry. And she goes, yeah, we gave this artist a spot in our booth. She's not really sponsored by us, but she just promotes the hell out of us on social media. We don't even ask her to. So we just thought we're going to let her sit in the booth and we're going to send her home with some free inks. And I was like, that's the kind of artist that companies want to have relationships with now, you know, like they want the artists that genuinely love their product and want to talk about the product because it's genuinely making their job easier. Exactly. And just like you talk about electric ink, I mean, that's great. That's genuine PR. I mean, that's not paid promotion. That's just genuinely, this is a product as an artist that I like to use. I've been using it for all these years. I've seen the setup. I know what it is. I love it. It's just that simple.
I mean, when we sold it, because we were selling it, I had to buy it from myself. Like, I've had friends be like, dude, why can't you just give it to me? And I'm like, because it costs me fucking money, dude. I ain't making money hand over fist. I have to buy it off of myself for me to use it. My guys have to buy it. I mean, granted, we're all getting it at cost. And again, my business takes it in the ass because of that. I'm charging cost plus shipping. So a fucking, you know, a $20 bottle of pigment is now, I'm not making anything off of it. It's literally just going out the fucking door for what we paid. So at least the business isn't getting completely wiped out. But again, I did that for 2 years before I'm like, yeah, we're done. I can't keep doing this.
Yeah.
You know? And again, I understand I am not a businessman. So that's why I'm not good at that. And it's probably the same thing for suppliers. Like, I could be that guy and say, hey man, like, fucking Tramp, you made X amount of dollars off me. How about you fucking pony up?
Yeah.
Back then it was just about getting free gear. I didn't want it. You know what I mean? So, and to Tramp's credit, you know, for the entire time that I was buying pigments for the guys, you know, he did front it. You know what I mean? But then at that point, I'm like, I'm done. Like, I feel bad about this now. I'm not even using the shit. So I'm done. You guys want to build your own rapport, you do that. Because the fact of the matter is, like, Eric Merrill works here. You know, Eric Merrill's a tremendous artist. And back then, everybody knew who he was. So for him, he could have called up Eternal and said, hey, man, I'm using this. Can I get... They just didn't. One of the guys would call. They would pay what they had to pay, and that was that.
Right.
So.
Right.
It's tough right now because things are so out of hand and but I think that's changing too because things are happening quickly where I think people don't remember the time that you got all your fucking gear for free, that now you're getting on this thing where you have a budget. And so now I think that the times where everything you ordered, no matter what, was free, now people are used to the budget. They're like, oh yeah, I'm good with the budget. That's cool.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I remember your supply company. You used to buy some Electrum from us.
We sold Electrum because at the time, Paulo was just starting to dabble with the stencil products. I had used Electrum And I was like, you know what? Let's get this stuff because I like this stuff. And at that point, like I could have gotten stencil stuff. I could have gotten a bunch of different companies. But again, I was like, well, I've used stencil stuff and I've used Electrum. I like Electrum. So we're selling Electrum. That's what I'm saying. Like when it comes to the fact that you just want to back certain things because you know they're good, that's more important to me than these companies that carry everything. You know what I mean? Because like if I go to a convention now, I can't get anything. You know what I mean? Like I'm not going to buy black from anybody else. I mean, I guess there's certain blacks I might use, but I've been using this shit for, like I said, since like, the mid 2000s, you know what I mean? Like I don't want to switch over because I'm at a convention, So, but again, I'm also not a dead set against if somebody tells me, oh, you should try this stuff. I'm like, okay, well, I'll give it a shot. And then I'll end up giving it to one of my guys once I don't like it.
Hey, IMDb has you as it has you credited with American Ninja Warrior, dude. What's up with that?
IMDb, anybody can write it. I didn't make an IMDb page. You know what
Were
I mean?
you on American Ninja Warrior?
No, dude.
I want to see that
no
episode.
idea what anybody put that up. I have no idea who did it. I had friends of mine tell me that because I have a good friend of mine owns a bar, local bar down here, and whenever we'd go out there, and this is when the show had just come out and stuff, dude, I'd be sitting in his fucking bar, and there'd be like 3 people behind me staring at the back of my head. He would see it and go, and wind them up and walk up, and he goes, "Oh, you guys want to take a photo with Joe? I know Joe." And I look at him, I go, "Dude, are you fucking kidding me?" And he's just like, "No, take a photo. Come on. No, give me the camera. I'll take a photo for you." And he would do that to me all the fucking time. He was the one that told me about the fucking the American Ninja thing. So I was just like, what the fuck? I had no idea.
I'm not gonna lie, I was on YouTube for like an hour trying to find your episode. I was like, I gotta see it. It's like,
dude, trust me, if I was on that show, I would definitely be promoting that. Most certainly. I didn't promote Best Ink. I would have definitely promoted the Ninja.
I love that show too, by the way. I did watch all 3 seasons.
I appreciate that, man. Again, dude, like, the people I met, I think the reason why I was so soured on it is because I met as many network people as I met studio people, like people that work for the production company. Production company are just people who work. Even the executive producer, super nice guy. Everybody I met from the set were really, really cool. Whenever a network person would come in, they had their fucking thumb on these people's on their heads the whole fucking time. There was somebody from network there every fucking day of shooting, and I heard that was not normal. And anytime things went they wanted to control the entire thing. And every single season that we did, the final 2 always came down to usually, I think Teresa and, London, the first season was the only one we didn't have to really kind of argue who we wanted to win. But the second and third season, we had to argue that both, and I'm glad Hannah was part of the last 2 seasons because she lent an actual educated voice. So it was now 2 tattooers and a supermodel, Sabina, and Sabina would have voted anyway they told her to, but it was now 2 tattooers that are just like, yeah, they can't win because of this. Mm-hmm. We would fight it the last 2 seasons. We had to argue it every single time, So like I said, I wasn't being paid enough, so you got the real Joe. If I were getting paid more, I guarantee you would have gotten a completely different fucking me.
Yeah.
Every episode would have ended up with me fucking screaming, hollering, and fucking cursing.
I would almost rather seen that. But would you do TV again?
Yeah. Huh?
Would you do it again if they paid you enough?
I can't say no, but again, I would be smarter. I would want more money, and because now we see how much money these shows are capable of making. I don't know if I see how famous they're making people. I mean, I'm sure there's that little bit of fame, but from being a tattooer, when you look at the clients these people are pulling in, do you really want those clients? And again, and I know this sounds shitty, and I don't mean, and anything I say sounds shitty, whatever. But I don't want to say it's shit. I don't want to say it to put the people down. Obviously, they love tattooing. But the only reason they're getting tattooed by that person is because he was on television. You and I both come from a day and age where you made a name for yourself because of who you were, the style in which you worked, the personality that you had. Okay? Now your personality is getting you further. You could have been dropped 3 episodes in, and people were like, I got to get tattooed by him because he was amazing on television. He's a horrible tattooer, but fucking who cares? You're looking at tattooers that are great tattooers I go to conventions and they're doing wolves and fucking and pine trees. and silhouettes on people. And I'm like, the fuck is that? You're not known for doing stuff
Right.
like that, but that's their clients. And I look at Jimmy, the people that are coming up to him and asking him for photos. Like, they want a photo. They don't give a fuck about a tattoo. He was on television. That is not how I want to be remembered. You know what I mean? And thank goodness, like our show went a lot faster, you know, and we were completely overshadowed by fucking Ink Master. So I don't have to deal with it much anymore. Nothing drives you crazier than just being noticed because you were on television. Half the people that watched our show didn't even know I was a fucking tattooer.
Really?
They had no idea that I made my name as a tattooer before the fucking television show.
Long before.
But yeah, exactly. So it's aggravating when people are like, oh, so I mean, I would run into people from Connecticut that lived a town away that didn't even know my shop existed. I ran into one girl coming back from from England, and she walked by, and I could see it in her face that she recognized me. She came back before the plane took off to basically tell me how much she loved the TV show and this, that, and the other thing. I'm like, what are you doing in London? She goes, oh, I just got tattooed. I'm like, by who? And she goes, oh, David Corden. I'm like, oh, I know David really well. Oh my God, I can't believe it. What did you do on? Oh, he did a pinup girl on me and showed me her back. I'm like, good for you. And she's just like, I was like, where do you live? And she's like, oh, I live in West Haven. I'm like, really? I own a shop in New Haven. You know what I'm known for? Pinups. She had no fucking clue.
Oh, that's crazy.
So you look at the situations like that, and it's like, it's a double-edged sword when it comes to the TV shows. I think what we're seeing with Ink Master now is the quality of artists like DJ Tambay and fucking Josh Payne, fucking the Texas, for fuck's sake. How the fuck did they sign those? Well, I kind of have I got an idea how that whole thing went down, but whatever. Good on them. They're great fucking artists. They're introducing the world to an amazing group of talented individuals. How much of that is soaking in the grand scheme of things? I don't know. But I don't think it looks bad for our business. You know what I mean?
No.
I don't think, and again, if we don't do it, for everybody who shits on it, and dude, for me, I shit on it for a long time. You know, when I got asked to do Miami Ink, it was the same thing. I'm like, this is a joke. There's no fucking way. And then I did Miami Ink, and it's like, you sit there and it's like, yeah, you don't do it until you're asked. And again, there are people that I know that were asked that would say no fucking way, you know, and good for them, but know full well that if you don't do it, somebody else is gonna. And not for nothing, it's better that we're held in a better light than some degenerate who's just going to use his screen time, you know, for 15 seconds of fame.
Yeah, so that's interesting because it's funny when you're sitting here talking about all these shows, because I was like, damn, there has been a lot of freaking tattoo TV shows in the history of tattooing. Like, there's been a lot of them. Most people just think about Ink Master right now, you know, because it's a prevalent one, but gosh, there has been a lot of them.
Yeah, you had
Kat Von D's show.
Yeah, and they were on the dumbest fucking networks. You know, like, how the fuck does TNT, not TNT, what the hell was the Country Music Network?
Oh, CMT.
Yeah, they had Tattoo Titans.
Yeah, I remember that one.
One of the producers from our show went to that show. Ami James was the judge on that show. It
Yeah.
was basically a ghetto version of fucking Ink Master. That came out right after, I think it was after the second season or third season of our show, of Best Ink. So it would have been like the fifth season of Ink Master, fifth or sixth season of Ink Master. You had Hart and Huntington back in the day. Before that, you had, what was it called? Inked, I think it was called. I mean, there's a ton of fucking shows.
Miami Ink.
Miami Ink did great. I think Miami Ink is what changed the entire business in the light of what it could do for our business. And then, for better or worse, you had LA Ink, because Kat blew the fuck up. I had a conversation with Nico when we were talking about probably the most famous tattooer in the world. I would go by no shits given, fucking Kat Von D. You know what I mean? Do I like it? No, fuck that. I mean, you know, you're famous because everybody knows who you are, but that's the fucking world we live in.
Right.
I mean, you could say Ed Hardy for a time, but most of the people who know Ed Hardy don't know him as a fucking tattooer. They know him as a brand guy.
Right.
You know what I mean? So we shoot ourselves in the foot because you don't want to engage. You don't want to embrace the new. And again, I'm as guilty as any of them. You don't want to embrace the new. then all you gotta do is bitch and complain when it's shoving it up your ass, and you're just like, oh, what the fuck? You know what I mean? There's no
Yeah.
getting around it. You know, we need to be involved more, and that was the thing. Like when we did the TV show, the third season, I had a feeling it wasn't going to go anywhere after that, because network fought us on everything. They just sucked. Horrible network to be on. The producers wanted me to do something else. I'm like, cool. The only way I'm doing this is if I'm a producer on the show. If I have some say on what we do. And we started to go down that route, and then it got to a point where it's like nobody was going to take a chance on me, big fat dude, greasy hair. They're not going for that. Like that's not what TV is about. And again, dude, look at the shows. I mean, the people that are winning, they look good for the part. I mean, and again, I think that's lame. I mean, most of the time you could pick who's going to fucking win right out of the fucking gate because they fit a fucking mold. And I don't want to get into names or anything, but we've all seen episodes of Ink Master where we're just like, how the fuck did she win?
Yeah.
Fuck you. There's no fucking way she should have beat her.
Right.
But,
Right.
but people argue it all the time. I have my way of thinking and, my opinions.
It's funny because I've gone to a couple live tapings of that show, Ink Master, like the finales that they have in Las Vegas. You know, I've seen them tape those, and I don't know if you know Chris 51 that used to own Formula 51, but they had that show, Epic Ink. Do you remember that one?
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. As a matter of fact, we just had it on the shop here. Every now and again, we have a big projector that projects on the wall. That show just came on up here. It was like, wasn't Tom Bowman on that and stuff?
Yeah. So it's interesting when you see, because they actually came and filmed an episode at C2E2 in Chicago.
Okay.
I think it was like the pilot episode actually, but it was really interesting to be behind the scenes witnessing that production happening, pre-edit, right? Because like you're seeing these directors, telling the clients what to do and telling the artists how to react. And you're just like, dang, this is all fucking smoke and mirrors. You're like, this is crazy shit.
No,
You're
that
like,
is fucking real.
I just watched them reveal that same tattoo 20 times because the director didn't like the way the client reacted. Like,
Dude, when I was on Miami Ink, I watched a producer. We had to clear the fucking room. I just finished tattooing, like on set technically, but they were filming. They were filming Darren. So I'm finishing up my tattoo. My whole set is pretty much done. So now they're all concentrating on Darren, and he's talking and he's talking and he's talking. I can tell he's trying to get an emotional response out of this broad, and she's not responding. So we're all sitting there watching. I just finished breaking all my shit down, and I'm just watching off camera. And one of the producers comes up and like, Joe, can you come outside with me for a second? And I'm like, yeah, sure. What's up? We walk outside and they're like, okay, we're good. I'm like, what the fuck was that about? I was watching Darren tattoo. Like I'm a tattooer. I want to watch my friends work, And I went, oh, are you really clearing the room so they can fucking get a response out of this fucking broad? Dude, I shit you not. Hour and a half later, this woman comes out of the shop. She looked like a clown in a fucking rainstorm. She had so many tears coming down, mascara, makeup. It's like somebody smacked the living shit out of her while she was getting tattooed. And I'm like, that's ridiculous. Like, are you fucking kidding? Because the fucking producer went back there and it's like, hey, listen, you acted a certain way, back camera. We need that now. And,
ratings, damn it.
It was ridiculous, dude. It was ridiculous. I never saw the episode, so I don't know how that whole thing went down.
Yeah, it's funny.
Dude.
It's funny. Well,
Again,
I'm glad.
I think we should have more involvement in this kind of stuff, but unfortunately, the worlds they don't come together that way. They don't come together that way.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear you say that we need to be more involved because that's kind of my soapbox these days. I'm trying to use my influence in the industry to kind of be, and it's a weird place to be because I almost feel like in some ways you're kind of sticking your neck out on a chopping block because our industry is so, man, so quick to persecute.
Yeah, we're fickle as fuck. We're clickier than ever. There were always clicks, even in my day and age. Like, I've managed to leapfrog a couple of different... Like, I was known as a new school guy. I hang out with some young cats. I hang out with a lot of the older guys. Like, I know more acquaintances than I have great friends. But the friends that I have are fucking ride or die friends. And thank goodness for that, because the people that I consider my good friends are wonderful human beings. Now, people that I thought were wonderful human beings, or close friends, I will admit, I can be very crass. I can be very upfront. I will tell you exactly what I think. I've had a lot of fallings out with people that I thought were friends because they get butthurt and they expect you to fucking bullshit them. And I'm like, dude, I'm not your friend because I want something from you. I'm your friend because we're fucking friends. You do something out of line or you do something fucked up or something I don't agree with. I may not tell everybody, but I'm going to tell you. And I've got a bunch of enemies because of that. You know what I mean? And it is because of what you just said. Like I was one of those guys that, would never stray from what everybody else was doing. You know what I mean? If the old school guys felt that the TV shows were bad, then they're fucking bad.
Yeah.
When I got asked to do Miami Ink., I sat back and I went, all right, I can't believe you're really asking. Fuck it. And for me, it wasn't about wanting to be on TV. It was about, they just asked a 400-pound greasy Italian to be on fucking Miami Ink. And I swear to God, that's how I looked at it, because I have always been a big motherfucker, and those are not the people you see on television. So for me, it was kind of like, you got asked to do this because of A, personality, and B, because of who you are and what you do. That means something to me.
Right.
I'm not Kat Von D. I didn't get brought up there because I'm a woman. And again, I'm not putting down women, although there's an argument for that. But everybody else that they brought in there, besides someone like Tim Hendricks or one or two other guys, were all females, and they were all to replace Kat. So the fact that I was part of that pool, I went, you know what? Fuck it. I'll do it, because I'd be stupid not to.
Right.
When I got out to do Best Ink., similar situation. No, I'm not interested. Oh, well, here's some of the other guys that are being considered for the part. And I went, that can't happen. All right, cool. I'll talk to him. And when you do the fucking when they do the introductions, you do a Skype call where you can't see them, but they can see you. Dude, I took a shower. I greased up my fucking hair as high as it would go. I wore a guinea tee and I sat in front of the fucking computer and I just went, okay, cool. What do you want to know? And I did not fucking hide a goddamn thing. And before the end of the conversation, she goes, I'm pretty certain they're going to want to meet you. So when can you come up? And no exaggeration, dude. I had to cancel weeks where I had to move a bunch of appointments around, and I flew to California for 2 nights to meet production, and I got hired that day. So
That's
again,
awesome.
for me, it meant more because of who I was
Yeah.
and the fact that I didn't have to put on any airs. A lot of people can't claim that, I guess. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So but again, we need to be more part of it, because otherwise there's a reason why there's all these weirdo shut-in kids. While they're great tattooers, they're changing the entire business around us. So now all of a sudden, if you talk the way you talk, all of a sudden you're the bad guy. You know what I mean? Like, dude, I come into my shop. My guys, I know I have a couple of my guys that would cringe if I was on the road for a week and I come back and what the fuck is going on here? Who the fuck? What the frick? And everybody's just like, oh God, Joe's back. Yeah, in my shop. Exactly, I'm back. It is one of those things. But the fact is, there were genuine characters. Gil Monty.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody. Jack Rudy. Fucking all these amazing tattooers. Guys like Philip Blue, Tintin, fucking Bernie fucking Luther. All these amazing characters. Great tattooers. They're looked at now as like, yeah, who cares? And
Right.
that's the shame. That's the shame of it. These are, dude, even guys who weren't great fucking tattooers, but they were just such great characters. I want to hang out with those people. I want to get to know those people. Those are the genuine things that attracted me to this business, in a sense. I think that a lot of that's getting lost. And the fact of the matter is, if the things continue to go the way they're going with television and all this different crazy media, it's going to come down to a bunch of fucking headphone wearing fucking artists that don't want to talk to their clients until
Yeah.
they're done for the reveal,
It's crazy. I was just thinking yesterday or something on my drive home. I was like, it's crazy to me that the hair industry is more serious than the tattoo industry. For example, I can't just go into a hair supply store and buy a pair of scissors.
Right.
I have to have a license,
Yeah.
right? I have to go through an accredited school to get my license, right? And I can't just open up a barber shop in my town and start cutting people's hair.
Right.
But the fucking guy that mows my yard can go downtown and open a tattoo shop tomorrow.
Exactly.
That's fucking crazy.
That is absolutely fucked. But here's again, this is the flip side of that. We need to be involved in that. And most of the time, we're not going to be. They're going to just go with somebody else's rules and regulations and sign that over to the state. And we're never going to be involved in that. Now you get guys like APT.
Exactly.
They want to be, and again, I think that they should. I think that there should be some kind of involvement from our industry. APT, again, when they first came about back in probably 92, 93?
91.
Yeah, it was 91. Okay. I remember like, oh, we should all join the APT. I'm like, but why? Like, and again, when you hear who's running it, I'm like, these people don't know anything about there's no lobbyists. It's just a bunch of tattooers getting together. And at that time, National was really big, but National was a fucking boys club, and not even a boys club. Flo was involved in National, but it was an in the know old guy club. You know what I mean? As a young tattooer, it's like, I want to go to National. I want to check out the art, but I don't want to be part of National.
Right.
Because it became like this thing. It's like this like higher up of being in the industry, but it really wasn't. It was just a boys club. Oh, there's only 100 card carrying members. I'm like, then shove your card up your ass, dude. All you want is my fucking money. You know what I mean? You're not doing anything. You're not bringing anything to the fucking table. They were trying to, but they couldn't. Now they can, because you've got a lot more educated, younger tattooers that do want to be part of the scene. You know what I mean? Again, and there's always going to be the part that fucking fights against it, but I don't think it's a bad thing, especially with the direction things are going. The fact that all these suppliers that sold out their fucking businesses to these giant conglomerate fucking companies for money, and that was it. What happens because eventually China is going to roll over everybody. I mean, I'm sure you're seeing it. What's the cheapest pen you sell with your supply company?
I literally have stopped selling all machines.
Oh, you have? Okay.
Yeah, because I can't compete with Amazon sales. I mean, I can't even sell $400 machines now.
Really? Okay.
They just fucking sit there.
That's what gets me with. It's funny because it's the same thing with the suppliers up here. Like Pulse, if they're selling something, it's in a pinch because somebody blew out their machine. They need something that day, so they run out and get it. You know what I mean? Otherwise, they're just going to go on fucking Amazon and buy the machines. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, we have some machines left, some Inkjectas, some FK Irons machines, and then we have some cheaper model machines, but we're not buying any machines. Once they're gone, we're not carrying machines anymore. Because we can't.
You're seeing more and more suppliers when they go to shows, they're carrying these cheap ass machines. They're always going to have the big ones because there is going to be a group of individuals that are going to either want to support or, well, Nico uses that one, and this guy uses that one, and this guy uses that one, so I'm going to buy that machine. So you're always going to have that, but I think that group of individuals has shrunk a lot. And so you wonder how much, what these conglomerates can do to continue to make that same bottom line that they need to make. Because they dumped a shit ton of money into this business. So how are they going to get it back? And that's what gets scary, is like, so what's their next fucking move? Now, I mean, their next move could just literally be selling it off and letting us float out into the oceans. Good luck, But it is a weird thing, and having everything decided for us by a bunch of people that don't tattoo and only care about the bottom line. I don't want to be part of that. Fuck that.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I'm a pretty transparent person. I feel like I'm probably one of the most transparent people out here in the industry from a manufacturing standpoint anyway, like probably more than I should be, to my detriment sometimes. But, we talk about, like, I think these tariffs are going to expose a shit ton of hidden secrets.
I read what you said, man, and I agree with that. And I love the fact that you actually said it, Like,
well,
American-made products.
It's good. It's true. And I'm not just talking about tattooing. I'm talking about every fucking day things that we use. Like, fucking 80% of the shit in our house comes from China. You don't even realize it.
Yep. Dude, fucking Amazon. Amazon must be sweating it, dude, because everything they sell is from China. Well, not everything, obviously, but a good chunk of it is. And it's going to come down to where you're going to start looking at Temu and being like, well, their prices haven't gone up. Their prices have always been down. So fuck it. I'm going to go with Temu now,
Well, You know what though? I get it's a very tricky position to be in because I really try to understand things, but anything to do with politics is just not meant for the average man to understand any fucking
No,
ways. So
because it's not about us, dude. It's about corporations and it's about motherfuckers who have already got who've got it all and they're never going to leave. They need to put a fucking fire on. I don't want to turn this political, but fires need to be lit under their asses because they should have a certain time in order to do something for us. If they can't, fuck off. Let's move on to the next guy. And that's not going to be the case because everything in this world is going corporate. Everything is going to go cashless. Everything is just crazy. And where does that leave us as tattooers, especially? Because we do, dude, I do more business now through credit card and fucking nobody does cash anymore. You know what I mean? So, I'll pull my skirt up here, but the fact of the matter is everything's on the board now. You don't get to hide shit no more. You don't get to run out and buy fucking stuff with cash anymore because it just doesn't exist. You have to be legit. You have to fucking keep things above board. And there's a lot of tattooers that when they come in, you tell them the way it is. They're like, well, I don't want to do that. I was like, well, then fucking jog on, dude. I don't know what to tell you. This is the way it runs now. I have no choice. So, we're going to, me, Jimmy, well, a couple of guys, we're going to do Thursday night, we're doing an Instagram live thing on Not For Nothing. And we're going to talk about guest spots and how dramatically guest spots have changed. And especially in my shop, because when guests came in, I used to let them keep 100%. I treated people the way I was treated when I'd gone away. I can't do that anymore. And it kills me. It absolutely kills me. Every time somebody asks me about a guest spot, it starts with an apology. And I have to say, here's how we do things now. And some of the people are really cool because they just want to work in the shop. And they want to be in a cool place. And other people are just like, cool, I'll look for the next shop. Cool, good for you. I don't know what to tell you, man. This is the way it is now.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I don't know. The industry's going to be, well, if these tariffs stick the way, I mean, because shit, they're at 145% now.
Dude, the fact of the matter, this motherfucker's going to roll back again. It's so fucking ignorant. Like, my wife gets mad at me because I watch YouTube and I watch a bunch of different, news channels and stuff like that. It's just so insane. You know what I mean? And on top of that, you can't help but think it's like, all right, so a bunch of billionaires just got more billionaire-ish. You know what I mean? Like, nobody else made out on this. We haven't even started feeling the pinch yet. A lot of suppliers, what I've noticed, I've just read an email this morning where they're like, hey, listen, we're not going up when the tariffs come down, you can still get your stuff. We're doing a 10% discount now because we know things are tight. And when it comes down, we're going to keep our prices, the same. And it's nice to see this kind of stuff. I can't help but think it's to get rid of their fucking backstock. You know what I mean? We see a lot of car companies now. It's like, oh, we're doing a fucking, big fucking sale. It's like, yeah, because in 2 months, nobody's going to be able to afford the fucking car. So sell it now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I can't help but think the tattoo industry is going to go the same way. It's going to be the same bullshit. Like, yeah, man, got to get rid of this product now because once it's gone, like, we may not be able to replace it.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. I mean, it's funny because somebody said, well, yeah, we'll start making our own needles again. But I'm like, that's great. But you realize that most of the components that you're using to make needles are also coming from China.
Yeah, exactly.
I was doing some research because I've been trying to find out if there are actually steel needles of any type being made in the United States, right?
So I know for a fact there are because years ago when Paulo moved from Brazil, moved his family over to Florida many years ago, and they were trying to create a base of operation in Florida. And after a couple of years, it just didn't work out. He ended up moving back to Brazil. While he was here, though, they started talking to, it might be Johnson & Johnson, I might be mistaken on that, but they created a machine that actually makes sharps. One or two of those companies are in the States where they purchase these machines, and they do make sharps. So you can technically find people to do that. And that's why Paulo bought this machine like years ago, and now they're starting to use it in Brazil where they're actually making all their own sharps and stuff. So I do know that you can, and it is possible. And I guarantee there's somebody. There was a company in Brazil, here in Connecticut called Industrial Strength, and they made a living because her dad
piercing needles.
Huh?
Piercing needles, right?
Yes, but they were also making whatchamacallit needles, tattoo needles.
Okay.
But
Well, it's interesting because
about 6 years, and then it stopped.
Yeah, it's interesting because my mother-in-law just retired from a company. I don't know the name of the company, but she was basically a sales rep for hypodermic syringe
Okay,
needles.
yeah,
And so I asked her like a month or so ago, I was like, hey, that company you retired from, where were you guys sourcing all your needles from? China.
yeah.
I said, all of them came from China? And she goes, yeah, all of those needles come from China. And I was like, fuck, that's crazy. Nobody makes hypodermic needles in the United States. Like,
Again, dude, this is why you can't help but laugh about the fact that we're going to bring manufacturing back. It's like you do realize it left here because we couldn't afford it. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like you're not going to make it better. Like it's the same reason why nobody builds like what you're saying before about you're going to pull the rug back on pull the covers off everybody because you're going to find out that I'm not going to name names of anybody, but none of their machines are made here. They're all maybe manufactured, like put together here. They're assembled here, but they're all coming from over there. All the needle companies, like, I mean, for years it was like, oh, there's only three companies out of China that are making them, whatever. It's all the same stuff. So yeah, we're going to start realizing like, yeah, things are changing because the fact is there's no other way to get this shit where it's reasonable. I remember talking to Bez many years ago in the UK, and he had ego tattoo machines.
yeah, I
He's
remember.
heavily involved with China. And his big thing was he wanted to make a British made machine, manufactured and put together and assembled in fucking England. And he, for like a year, he tried to do it. And it literally came to the point where it's like, you can't build it because it's entirely too expensive. And it's going to be the exact same thing here. There's a reason why things are only assembled here, not made here. Because A, the infrastructure is not here for it. I mean, you can CNC, bodies for machines and stuff like that. I'm sure that stuff is being done here, but most everything else is coming from over there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy because I think you'll see a lot of American businesses leave the United States. Actually, that's what will happen.
Yeah.
They'll move their businesses south of the border where labor's cheap, where rent's cheap, where they don't have to be faced with tariffs. Yeah, and that's what will happen. So it's interesting when you hear tariffs are being imposed to bring manufacturing back to the United States, but like you said, it's still too expensive to manufacture in the United States. I mean, you would have to outfit your factory completely with robots, basically.
Well, so that was, I mean, that I know we a lot of politicians were talking about it, like Elon Musk and whatever, but they're saying how, oh, the new job is going to be, learning how to use AI, learning how to program, robots. So basically the workforce is going to be people who build robots because once those robots are in, I mean, this is like every sci-fi horror
Yeah,
story.
it's like Black Mirror.
Yeah, exactly. Again, we deal with a similar situation. So you're manufacturing things to make manufacturing cheaper, but what happens to the people once that's done? Like then there's no room for those people. Because I mean, realistically, the ideal situation would be, getting your workforce down to 4 human beings who know how to program computers and maybe 2 or 3 maintenance guys who can do repairs. AI is the same thing. It's like eventually we won't need the four guys. We're just going to replace that with AI, and then you'll have 2 guys who can do maintenance. You know what I mean? So it's a slippery slope that nobody is considering. You know what I mean? And I mean, I think they're considering it. They just don't fucking care because they've all got their way of thinking. They've all got the side they've chosen, and now we're just basically waiting to see which side wins. We talked about this with AI, with the tattoo industry. Like this black dot. I'm sure you saw that on. We're
Oh
covering
yeah.
a lot of subjects. I don't know if you want to go down all these fucking roads.
No, it's good. I love it. I just love to let the conversation flow. So yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, but we talked about black dot. I had more friends that are not in the tattoo industry. They're like, dude, you see this on Shark Tank? I'm like, that product, that machine's been around for well over a year or two. It's a fucking joke. It's put together by a guy who thinks he knows something about tattooing. He doesn't, and you listen to them talking about it. You're like, do I think that will eventually be a thing? Yeah. Well, all the dumb people, I shouldn't say dumb people, but all these people that are coming in for their little bitty tattoos, of course, they're going to go in, they're going to get their little, little ridiculously small tattoo, pay too much for it and fuck off. Or worse, they're going to get the exact same tattoo that a guy in Brooklyn right now is charging, $1,900 for, and they're going to pay $55 for it. because a fucking machine did it. It's still going to look like dog shit in a short period of time. But you know what? Cool. It's gonna be like what we used to do back in the day when you go to the fucking pier and you get a crushed penny. You get a smashed penny with an image on it. That's gonna be their version of a fucking fucking tourist trap fucking collectible thing. A souvenir. So I think that there's a place for it? Yeah, and I think there's a place for regular tattooers to just do their fucking trade, because you're never going to find a machine that's going to cover a body. You're never going to find, it just doesn't exist. You need that tactile, skin to skin, you know what I mean, or latex to skin. You need some kind of human element to make that work. You know what I mean? So I think it's all going this direction, though. It's all going corporate. It's all going, AI.
Yeah, we talked a lot about Black Dot on that first episode when I had Ben Shaw on, actually, and it's crazy because they've got like $7 million invested in that project, and I'm just
that
like,
blows my fucking mind. But again, this is the same thing. What was that crap that Evanescent That
oh yeah, the BNA bullshit.
Yeah, and dude, look at all the dudes. Like, these are guys. These are the same dudes that would shit all over television, that would shit over anything that was, anything different from their upbringing for 20 years, right? They fucking wave a little money under everybody's nose, and they fucking all caved for one of the dumbest fucking products any of us have ever heard about.
Right.
And you sit there and it's just like, wow. And all I remember is, and this is where it's fucked up, because these corporations go, no, we got to get the old school guys. That old school guys, they're the ones with the most integrity. Dude, those motherfuckers got called out so fucking fast. Like, good friends. It's like, oh yeah, fucking, this is how you're going to sell out for this shit product? Are you fucking kidding me? Something none of us can afford, and most of us think is fucking stupid. Congratulations on picking the right side.
Jesus.
But that's how insane, like how fucked this business can be, and how cliquey this business can be. Like, friends of friends were just kind of like, nah, fuck that dude. He's a douchebag. It's just like, what the fuck? Or behind the cameras, like, yeah, I talked to him the other night. I told him he's a fucking idiot. He's like, yeah, no. It's like, how does that, like, TV is bad, but, some corporation that knows nothing about our industry but trying to make money off of it, that's good.
Well,
Whatever.
have you seen the new one with the fucking ink that reacts to light shining on it?
Oh, God, yeah. That's, again, look at the guys who came out for that one, too. Again, all these dumb shit tattooers that are charging too much money for tiny little bullshit tattoos. And the worst part is, I do think that, yeah, there are going to be people that are willing to do it. And again, I don't necessarily have a problem with that. But by the same token, do you know any of the science behind what you're putting under the skin?
Exactly.
Years ago, when nobody wanted to put fucking UV light under people's skin. Now you're going to use something that changes? And you're going to tell me that that's somehow more safe than the fucking pigments we've been putting in the skin for the last fucking couple of decades?
Dude, how many people come into your shop and ask for blacklight tattoos?
It goes in, weirdly, it goes in spurts.
Fucking happens a lot.
Yeah, it goes in spurts. Like, you won't hear anybody mention blacklight for 5 years, and then all of a sudden, over the course of a month, we get people coming in and asking about it.
And what do you say when hey, can you do a blacklight tattoo? Do you have that glowy ink?
Yeah, we just tell them we don't. I mean, dude, I had it in my pinky.
You did?
Had it in my pinky back in 99, I think, 98. My wife and I got we got little matching blacklight tattoos. And dude, and it's funny because we'd go away and we'd be in like Rock City in Tennessee, and there's a thing where they have all these black lights, and we'd point and you go, oh my God, you can still see the thing. And it's like, it's been a few years. Now it's like, I think it stopped glowing after about 12 years.
I just always tell people it's an urban legend. I'm like, that's not even a real thing. That's just an urban legend.
We just tell people it's shit pigment, doesn't hold up. But I've also told people like that were dead set on it. It was like, you find it and you buy it from a reputable place. I'll do it for you. I don't give a shit. I'm not guaranteeing anything. I did paw prints on the sides of a guy's throat back in 2000. Blacklight ink, and then I did racing stripes, 2 like Adidas stripes down his arms, symmetrical fucking lines down his fucking arms. But the kid was a club kid, so he went the first time and everything had to be touched up. So the second session, I got to use a fucking blacklight while I'm tattooing him. So I can't say I've never done it. it's just not. It doesn't look good. You know what I mean?
Do you remember the tattoos that were like they were like a little wavelength that you were supposed to be able to read with the thing, and it would be like
So
your
there was an
grandma's
episode.
voice talking to you or something.
There
I
was an
love you,
episode of
darling.
Best Ink. There was an episode of Best Ink that they had to create a tattoo around the wavelength, and the idea was it had to be a cool design that included the wavelength, and the wavelength had to work. And some company came in and they were telling us about it, how amazing this idea was, and I'm like, this is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever fucking heard, because A, it's never going to take off, and when this app is no longer available, these dopey bastards got this stupid wavelength tattooed on them that nobody's ever going to know what it meant.
Yeah. Yeah, but there was a lot of people getting those tattoos.
They're still getting them.
So the app's still there?
Oh, I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I can't imagine it is. You don't hear about it. I haven't had somebody ask about that in 10 years, 12 years.
It's funny. It's funny.
The amount of dumb shit. You know what's funny? It's amazing to me that we don't have more dumb shit coming down the, like, we all dealt with the fucking, sand clocks and fucking pocket watches and blue-eyed lions and fucking owls and all kinds of shit. That's still happening. But the fact that we're not considering TikTok and Instagram and all that stuff, the trends are not like they're tried and true trends that just don't go away. Like
Yeah.
the infinity symbol. I mean, we still get people coming in not as much as usual. Like it used to be like at least a couple of times a week. Now it's like maybe once a month, whatever. But you would imagine there'd be bigger and crazier trends happening, like the blackout trends. It's fucking nuts.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I'm waiting for Tribal to make a comeback.
Well, I mean, we see it happening, but just in a really janky kind of way. You got a lot of these traditional guys that are throwing the tribal into most of their designs, and people are going for it, but it seems to be more of like I don't think it's become a true trend again. I think it's more of like, it's like a wannabe trend. It's like, oh, remember tribal? I'm going to throw it in on a skull and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, all right, cool. You're never going to do that again.
I don't see how that could ever become a trend again. I feel like that's the most shit on style in the history of tattooing.
Well, dude, tramp stamps, again, tramp stamps used to be a very fucking cool place to for a woman to get tattooed. Now it's become a Saturday Night Live skit,
Every time you see a dude at the beach with mad ass tribal on their arms, you're like,
That is a cover up that has not happened yet.
yeah, right. But speaking of styles, you were on maybe it was an Honest Tattooer podcast or something recently, but you were talking about your style particularly and your position in the industry now and how important it is to be adaptable in styles and things. I think that's what you were talking about.
Yeah, for the most part. I think, back in the day when I first got into tattooing, obviously you do everything. Like you don't pick a style, you do whatever people pick off the wall or bring into you. And I did that for many years, and then eventually the pinup thing. I was always into pinups. I came into this business as an airbrush artist. Some of my biggest inspirations were like Gil Elvgren and George Petty from back in the day, Olivia, Hajime Soriyama from the current days. So I was always about that. Whenever I did artwork or paintings or whatever, it was always based around pinups and the human figure. So when I got asked to do a pinup on the skin back in it would have been 90, maybe 95. That got published and it just blew the fuck up, because at that time nobody was doing color pinups and everything was either a Sailor Jerry pinup or black and gray pinup. And it just took off. So I was able to do that for many, 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 many years. Now it's one of those things where I find myself like, yeah, dude, I do more black and gray work now than I've done just about my entire career. I do a color piece every couple of weeks, it seems,
Really?
So it's one of those things where I've often said, and there'll be people that argue with me or whatever, if you're not in the trend and you stand out, then you're most likely not busy. Because we see a lot of older tattooers that have a style which they either help create or they became known for, that are sitting on their fucking hands when they go to conventions. And you see everybody else is doing neo-trad, they're doing straight up old school traditional Japanese, or they're doing black and gray realism. You know what I mean? And the guys who truly stand out are the ones who sit around most of the time. Because that's what I've seen happen to me over the last 6 years. Where other new school guys, Victor Chill, I'm drawing a blank on everybody, goddamn. Even Jesse Smith to a degree, I don't think he's quite as busy as he once was. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Because we're no longer the hot new thing. We're the old guys who did the hot new thing, you know. But that's gone. That's come and gone. So now people want the new guy who does that shit. I love what Tony Ciavaro has been pushing with his magazine. It's Skin Paper Paint. You should talk to him. I love what he's pushing, which is this whole drawing thing. Like his magazine is about originality. It's about, I mean, it deals more about new school because name a style that is completely original, that doesn't rely on AI, that doesn't rely on, you know, crazy photo reference, that doesn't rely on anything. You know what I mean? You look at like Trash Polka. While at the time it was a truly unique way of doing things, it relied heavily on some kind of black and gray realism and some kind of tribal, you know, and design work. When you look at any kind of black and gray realism, relies heavily, unless it's like some of the darker art, it kind of relies on some kind of photorealism, color realism, all this fucking AI generated realism that we see, floral realism. It all relies on some kind of like photo, where Tony's more about like, no, Victor Chill's got an original style. You know, Jamie Eris from fucking the EU has an original style. Tom Strom has an original style. I kind of had an original style. Jimmy Litwalk. All these artists bring themselves to the thing. So it's harder now because now that person not only has to find you, but they also have to be intrigued and love what you do in order to get it, you know, as opposed to coming in with their phone going, I want this, you know?
Yeah, but do you feel like it's interesting because it kind of circles back around to the black dot thing? Did you watch that episode of Shark Tank at all?
I only saw the bit that was kind of floating around, and I love the fact that the one shark starts talking about how much money he spent on the fucking tattoo. And we all know who the artist is, and we all know that a good chunk of that guy's stuff is dog shit. None of it heals up the way it does. It's all looks great on fucking when the photo's first taken. But now granted, I will say this. I've only seen maybe 6 or 8 of his tattoos that were healed, that were some of the bigger name, you know, bigger pieces that he'd done. They were dog shit. You know what I mean? And whenever you look at tattoos, like he was one of the first guys to start seriously doctoring his images, his photographs, you know? Mm-hmm. So when that guy's telling you how much money he spent, go fuck yourself. First of all, if you spent that kind of money, it's because the artist saw you coming. And you were too stupid to realize you were being fucking taken advantage of. Because if you're spending that kind of money and you're not getting a traditional Japanese fucking tattoo, and that price did not include the fucking flight and stay in Japan, then you're a fucking idiot. If you spent that kind of money. And then on top of that, you look at that fucking guy, he's not covered in fucking tattoos. Like, give me a fucking break. What are you, showing off your fucking half sleeve at the fucking golf course? Give me a fucking break.
Yeah, it's interesting because after that, I went out and picked this up, right?
Okay.
So this dude was actually on the cover of Ink magazine.
Why is he covered?
Well, I wanted to see, you know, I'm like, well, I want to see what $300,000 worth of tattoos look like, you know? And then I found out that he was in this magazine, so I'm like, I'm going to go pick it up because I want to see, like, what does $300,000 worth of ink look like? And he actually does have quite a few tattoos, but the point that I was trying to make was what you said about having a unique style. Do you think having a unique style actually allows you to set the bar higher when it comes to the prices you charge for your tattoos?
That's a tough one because right now, I don't think it does, because I don't think we're not in as much demand as individuals. Like, so perfect example, when I look at color realism, or you look at like this this floral realism, how many artists do you know that do that kind of work now? Okay. The best part about that is how many of those artists now that set the bar back then and was like, I got to go to Phil Garcia because he does the best color, you know, floral pieces. I want to go to Nico Hurtado because Nico does the best portraits. Okay. I need to go to this person because they do the best of that. How many of those fucking people exist now? Okay. Those were guys who set the bar back then. Okay. Because they stood out back then. Do they stand out now? Fuck no, dude. Especially because now most everybody's getting all their reference from fucking AI. And not for nothing, AI is just copying some other thing. So you've got
Right.
the same. I mean, you look at AI and you go, okay, I can't tell. It all looks the same. And I shouldn't say that. A lot of it looks the same. When you go on fucking Instagram and you look up Godhead, you could have 90 fucking different people who created some kind of fucking Zeus, and they all pretty much look the fucking same. And we're seeing that with a lot of the art that's being produced by a lot of these people. So while one person at one time stood out, and I'm purposely not mentioning names because I do not want to be burning bridges,
No,
but
yeah, I get it.
at one time, and the people I did mention are, they set the fucking bar. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But Nico and I said the same thing. What made Nico stand out was you could tell it was a Nico Hurtado piece. You look at most color portraits today, you can't tell who fucking did what.
Right.
There's definitely differences in quality. There's definitely differences in how well it holds up over time. But the fact of the matter is, one very rarely looks different than another. You know what I mean? And when you can do something where you stand out as an individual, then all of a sudden it goes, well, do I want it to look like that? Or do I want it to look just like the other 9 that I've seen? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, Phil's a good example. I like that you use Phil and his roses, right? Like I don't know. I haven't seen anybody tattoo a rose as good as Phil can tattoo a rose still. I mean, maybe there is, but I'd have to look for someone like that, right? Like there aren't a bunch of artists jumping out and saying, oh, they're fucking killing it. Like Phil kills it. Phil still has a very distinct advantage.
And that's kind of one of the reasons I mentioned him, because I think his stuff does stand out as his own. But how many other color realism people that you see being done, doing it, they all look kind of the same.
They
all have these really crazy, unrealistic fucking light sources and whatnot. We're seeing more and more of that, especially coming out of like the EU. A lot of these different French artists are doing stuff. And another good way of putting this is, let's look at, like, say, Eastern Europe versus the rest of Europe. When you look at stuff coming out of Poland, when you look at stuff coming out of out of Russia, and all those Eastern European countries, those motherfuckers stand out. There's a guy named Turyansky. I can't remember his first name, but it's something Turyansky. He lived here in Connecticut, in Massachusetts for quite a few years. Tremendous fucking artist. Does Japanese, but everything's got kind of this like Eastern European fantasy flair to it. His stuff is fucking amazing. It's all drawn by him. It's all out of his fucking head. A lot of the Europeans you're seeing, they're following this classic art style, where a lot of the people you see in the rest of Europe and in the States here is basically taking a classic art style that was hodgepodge together with AI, and it all kind of has the same generic look to it.
Mm-hmm.
And don't get me wrong, having said that, there's other people that stand out as their own. I'm not saying that it's all the same, obviously, but there are people that stand out, and there are people that are just filling in the role of doing that particular tattoo.
Yeah, I get it. That's what my point was. It's like, no one, what do you think that episode on Shark Tank did, right? So a bunch of millions of people watched that episode, right? And somebody said, Damon said, oh yeah, I paid my artist $70,000 for this tattoo, this portrait of my daughter, or whatever the tattoo was. I don't even remember. But millions of people heard that, right? Well, one of two things happened, and both things probably happened. Some people are like, fuck, what the fuck? I'm not paying $70,000 for a tattoo. And then on the flip side of that, Arlo's books probably fucking started going off the hook. You know what I mean? People probably
there's always going to be some
slamming his DMs. You know what I mean?
There's always going to be some dumbass out there. My biggest issue with this has always been when Bang Bang pulled it the first time back in the day when he opened up his shop in New York, and he fucking tattooed Rihanna, some other fucking dumbass. Did a horrible fucking bullshit tattoo on her, and then was bragging about how it cost $2,500 to do a tattoo this fucking big. And then the next guy goes and does it. My whole thing is, hey man, if you found somebody dumb enough to pay that price, by all means, fucking charge it, man. I'm not going to say you shouldn't charge what you want to charge. But do me a fucking favor. Do the rest of us a fucking favor. Keep it under your fucking hat. Because all you did was allow your hustle, and this is what goes right back to what I said before. When the hustle becomes the norm, that's when we're fucked. And that's exactly what we're seeing. Because you live in Brooklyn, you get to charge fucking $2,500 day rates, and you still suck as a tattooer. Go fuck yourself. Because you're in the 5 boroughs? No, that's not right. I'm sorry, that's not right. You can go to any other shop and get that tattoo for $125. But because you're too stupid to get off the train in Brooklyn, you pay $2,500. Come on,
For sure in that case. But what I'm saying is if you take a guy like Phil, or even like you, who have a very distinct style, who I can't go to somebody else and get a Joe Cap tattoo. I have to come to Joe Cap to get that tattoo, right? I feel like in those are the customers that I feel like Phil should be able to charge whatever the hell he wants to charge for his roses.
Again, that's why I say, do what you do. Just don't tell anybody.
Yeah.
It's between you and your client and whatever prospective clients you're going to get. But when you start announcing what it is that you charge, dude, Russ Abbott's a perfect example. And again, I was going to reach out to Russ. I'm going away next week. I'm going on this big ass road trip, bringing the podcast with me. I wanted to talk to Russ because Russ came here for our grand reopening when we moved to the new location, like fucking 16 years ago. We used to be friends. We were friends. I don't say he's an enemy. He's not. But when you go out there and tell people, how much are you charging? You need to charge more money. No, dude, this is a giant country. It's a huge world. When you're telling everybody they should be charging $250, why? Because you feel bad about charging more money and you want you to be the norm? No, dude, I'm in Connecticut. I'm in a good part of Connecticut. I can't charge crazy fucking prices like that. Nobody's going to sit with us. You know what I mean? And now, having said that, there are a handful of people who follow the trends, who do the black and gray realistic tattoos, who do the stuff like that you see in every fucking inked magazine. You know what I mean? They can do a day rate. For what I do, it's not in that great a demand. And again, if someone flies here to get tattooed, I'm not charging them some fucking retarded price. I'm going to charge them what I feel the tattoo is worth. And the fact that they flew here makes me feel honored that they did that. Now, granted, that's not the norm, but I don't fucking go out and have seminars telling people you need to be charging fucking more money. You know what I mean? I don't tell people how to come up with some crazy fucking grift that, make your client pay for X amount of sketches and how many changes they can make to a sketch and all kinds of crazy shit. And then host a seminar that these people paid to sit in on that you're making money off of. Like, dude, you do not do that. That's something you sit in the back room of a shop and you talk to your 3 closest fucking friends and you let them in on the thing. You do not turn it into the normal way in which we try to work, because that's when you're going to run into pushback and you're going to run into people. And then granted, having said all that, there's countless people that are going to back what Russ says and going to do exactly what he said to do, and they'll be able to get away with it. But when it goes wrong, it goes fucking viral. And we saw that happen with that, whatever they call it, Tattoo Gate. Where everybody jumped on that.
Oh, yeah.
So that's the problem I have. And again, that guy is just flexing. I spent fucking X amount of, who fucking cares what you spent? And now having said that, what did he say about the black dot machine? None of them backed it, right?
No, they just thought it was a shitty business plan. Well, yeah.
No, that's true. I did hear about that.
I want to actually get that guy on the podcast too, the black dot guy.
You should, dude. I'm sure that guy wants any kind of fucking advertising he can get.
Well, I just want to know more about it. Like when I was talking to Ben from APT, which I'm glad you brought up APT too, because I think it's an important topic to discuss.
I think things like that are going to become major topics across the board.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually joined the APT 2 years ago. I'm the state rep for Indiana now, so I'm actually enjoying that role. It's good. I think the APT is trying to do a lot of things. We actually have a call tomorrow. I actually initiated trying to bring tattoo insurance and health benefits into the tattoo industry through the APT, right? Like,
oh, okay.
I went to the APT and I was like, hey, one thing that the industry is really lacking is healthcare and insurance and retirement plans and benefits for shop owners and their families. And I was like, if the APT's got a big number of members, why don't we leverage that?
Create a group
And get group insurance and be able to offer cheap insurance rates to the tattoo community. So that was great. We've gotten some momentum going behind that. We actually have another meeting with the insurance companies tomorrow to talk about where we're at.
That was something that I remember being discussed many, many years ago for shop insurance. That like they were trying to do that, and then it went nowhere, and then an outsider came in and did it, and those slowly go away because everything is becoming too expensive. Everything's becoming too hard to insure.
Yeah. Well, it was great because we actually got some momentum. It took a while. I mean, I had to really try to get them on board with that. It took some convincing, but then once we got the momentum going, it was like, oh, well, what if we get the APP involved and then we can increase our numbers even more? And
exactly.
You know, so now they're actually talking about doing more. So I think it's actually going to become a real thing. And I'm super excited about those kinds of things. You know,
This was one of the things that when I talked to a couple of local artists that were trying to get involved with the health departments here in Connecticut, in the state here, when it was asked of me to take part, I was like, absolutely not. And they're like, why? And I'm like, because this is a thankless job that while you are doing good, you are going to give more time to it than you think you're going to have to. And in order to make it happen, you're going to have to do that without any, with no other rewards, because nobody's going to give a fuck about you. Most people are going to hate you for it. Most people are going to talk down to you about it, even though it's technically for the good of the industry. And that's
right.
the thing. Like, I think you have to know what you're getting yourself involved in.
Yeah, that's the scary part of it all, right? Like if I talk about, like when I wrote this article in Skin and Ink about gatekeeping and like why we have to stop. I don't even like using that word because I think it's such a bad word anyway
Right.
in the industry. My article was just more about strengthening the gates. Like it's not about ending gatekeeping. It's about how do we strengthen the gates? Like what I was saying earlier, it's ridiculous to me that the hair industry is more serious than the tattoo industry, right? Like how come just anybody can go on Amazon and buy supplies and tattoo somebody? That shouldn't be allowed to happen, right?
Well, and that's been my issue with the health department since fucking I got into this industry, because how many times did you have the health department come in and give you shit about something in your shop when you know full well there's people tattooing in their basements within your town, and when you tell them about it, it's like, well, we can't do anything about that. Well, then why the fuck am I giving you money? Because you're
Right.
busting my balls. I have to pay insurance. I have to do all this stupid shit, jump through fucking fiery hoops, and the fuck up the street is taking appointments for me. No, if you
Well,
can't do
that's
something
when
about him,
Well, that's when it comes down to consumer education, right? We got to educate the clients, right? You got to teach the client the difference between going to somebody's house and getting tattooed versus going to a licensed studio and getting tattooed, and the difference between those two.
right?
Dealing with a licensed, educated artist versus a guy that bought a kit on Amazon and is just tattooing in their house, and what the differences there are. You know, this goes back into product education and all of these types of things, ensuring the safety of the client. I mean, dude, let's be real. The average Joe doesn't know the difference between a good tattoo and a bad tattoo.
Most certainly, yeah.
They
I agree.
don't. They can get a shitty tattoo and they'll think it's the greatest thing in the world.
No, I agree. And the thing is, one thing I was taught when I first started tattooing the first month was don't ever tell people they got a bad tattoo, because there's nothing they can do about it. If they ask and you tell them, like, but you don't just walk up to somebody and be like, dude, who did that piece of shit? Because as far as they know, they got a good tattoo. If they ask, then it's
No,
all bets are off. Then you can say whatever the fuck you want. But
I
realistically,
disagree. I think you got to tell people when they got a
yeah,
shitty
but unless you're baited into it or asked about it, I don't. I usually try. I will admit, whenever somebody comes in from a shop, comes in here for their first tattoo, whatever, and I see work, whether it be good or bad, the first question is, who did that on you? I mean, I want to know. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times my guys don't ask. I'm like, dude, who did all that work on them? And they're like, oh, I don't know. How did you not ask? Like they did. That was really good stuff. Or really bad stuff, and you should tell them, like, hey, if you ever want that stuff touched up, just let me
Exactly.
know. You know.
Exactly. Yeah, we were just talking about that locally. Where there was a local guy here, and he was like, "I'm slow," and I was like, "Dude, go to the fucking store and look for people with shitty tattoos and hand them your business card, bro."
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
like, that's honest to God, dude.
Well, I mean, dude. The fact is, I think that's what's going to separate the levels of tattooing right now, because you've got people that can't talk to anybody, have no way of, they don't have portfolios. They have their phone. You know what I mean? They don't carry around business cards. You know what I mean? They may not even have a QR code for someone to copy. So I think we're going to start seeing more of that, where people are just simply going to be like, I need to get work. I mean, dude, we're doing everything but straight up like bullshit advertising. Because again, I don't necessarily want every little tattoo that wants to get tattooed. I want to get quality clients. And that's something I've often said with a lot of conventions that are out there. The quality of client walking the floor is not what it used to be. You remember conventions back in like in the mid 90s and the early 2000s? People went to get tattoos they couldn't get in their hometown.
Right.
And there was always a couple of guys there that just did flash, that did stuff that was like the little bangers or the pieces that they could get from any shop in that particular town. But for the most part, it was like the people who traveled from across the other side of the country or came over from a different country. And they were busy because everybody was like, I'm going to Indiana. Oh, this is Joe from New York. He does this style of I got to get tattooed by him. Oh, this is Philip Blue, came to North Carolina, dude. Like Philip, Joe John, not Joe John's, Little John got fucking Philip Blue to come to Greensboro, North Carolina. Dude, do you realize how big that was back in the fucking 90s? That was like bringing God to church, for fuck's sake. And it was literally one of those situations where it's like, that's right. Little John got friendly with him and brought him here.
Yeah.
Like, that to me was like, holy fucking shit. Very few conventions do that now. Now it's just a bunch of, and again, I'm not entirely knocking all of that, but again, it's become the norm. And
the shows were a lot smaller then too.
Oh, dude, and that's part of the problem, dude. The thing is, promoters took the fucking Troy Temple fucking school of thought. Make a big convention, sell a shit ton of booths. You've already made your money. And that's it. What happens at the door, happens at the fucking door. I either bring people through or I don't. And again, Philly's one of those conventions where he can bring tens of thousands of people through the door. Good on him. Motherfucker give away half the booths of a 1,000-booth convention, which most of his shows are now. Like Denver, all these shows are like 800 booths, 1,000 booths. Dude, if he gave away half of those booths, gave away 400 booths, he'd still fucking bank just on what he charges for the fucking booths. You know what I mean? So it's when you look at situations like that, then that show should not suck. If you can't get people through the door, don't host the fucking convention. And we're seeing this happen everywhere. Shows that I thought were going to do well. Here in fucking, just in New York. Dude, the fucking Empire show, I've never heard a good thing about it. People who come from overseas, they fucking love it. Oh, I did my 3 tattoos, or I did my 1 tattoo all weekend long. Anybody local who goes to it, yeah, dude, you sit on your fucking hands. It's cramped. There's not enough fucking room. Anybody who's coming in there has already got an appointment. Nobody's just walking around. You know what I mean? The last New York convention, I heard the same fucking thing. Brooklyn happened, same fucking thing. People come in to get their tattoos. And you would imagine that some of these tattooers, these people from France, these people from Italy, you would think that they would bring people from all over the country to come and see them, watch them work. And they don't. They bring in 3 clients that they're going to tattoo over the course of the weekend. And you sit there and go, okay, that was a waste.
Yeah.
What did you do? How many promoters do we see reliant strictly on the artists that are coming to the convention? They do no other outside the advertising. Their Instagrams are pathetic. All they're doing is reposting what other people are posting. Like, I will give Derb that. Derb pushes the fuck out of Hell City. He pushes the fuck out of Hell City. To me, Hell City is still one of the top conventions in the country.
Yeah, 100%.
So
100%.
it's one of those situations when you're looking at situations like that, there's no excuses for putting on a bad convention. The only excuse is there's too fucking many of them and people need to stop fucking supporting them. And I know that's harsh and that's shitty, but in all honesty, that's how I feel because I think you've just watered down everything. And now people are just like, I'm going on this road trip. I'm stopping in North Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, and ends in Columbus, Ohio for Hell City. Tennessee and Alabama only there for a night, so I'm only doing the podcast. But I have time available in Charlotte. I have time available in Georgia, and Florida. I'm only doing 1 day, so I've already booked that up. Know what everybody's been asking me? Oh, dude, if you're coming through Kentucky, you could work in my place. Oh, dude, if you're stopping in Texas, I got a place for you to. Here's an idea, motherfucker. I'm going 2 states that I've already announced that I can't get people to come to. And you want me to go there? No. How insane is this? Like, I'm already going out of my way to fucking get to people, and that's still not enough. And that's what we keep finding. It's like, oh, you do a convention in Indiana, well, why don't you come to Ohio? Dude, I'm in Indiana. It's a fucking 2-hour drive. Just drive to fucking Indiana, to Indiana. That's the thing. I think everything is, again, it's gotten too simple. People nowadays, I'm on a tear now. We talk about we have for the shop, we have Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. We have a phone for the shop. We have internet. We have a email address for the shop. We had to buy a fucking cell phone for the shop because people only communicate through texts now. So now we've given you 6 ways to reach out to one of the artists here. Now you include the 8 Instagram accounts that each one of these artists has. Now you've got fucking 14 different ways to reach an artist. How fucking ridiculous is that? 14 ways. And everybody tells you the same thing. Well, if they reach out to you through Messenger, you should make it that, then you talk to them through Messenger. If that's, okay, forgot about Messenger. So, well, I guess that's part of Facebook. So now you've given them 14 different ways. God forbid another way comes up. Thank God we don't use WhatsApp in this country, because then I have to make a WhatsApp account for the fucking shop. Come on. Back in the day, it was like you call the shop, you book your appointment, you get the appointment. I understand we live in the day of computers and all that other bullshit, but you set a bar and you make people go over it. You don't let them so they can sneak in every single time. Dude,
Right.
we do Venmo, we do fucking PayPal, we have an ATM, we accept credit cards, we accept what's the other fucking pay thing,
Cash apps.
Exactly. So how much more? It's not enough that you. Oh well, do you have Venmo? I don't have PayPal.
We'll even accept your firstborn child.
That's not a bad thing. That's my whole point. Is like we have completely lost control of this industry, and the fact that everybody is okay with that is insane to me, because everybody's like, no, customer's right. No, customer's not always right. So
Yeah.
if COVID taught us anything, was just that the customer's not always right. When you go to a restaurant after all the bullshit that these restaurants and bars went through for COVID, and then you leave them a shitty response because of how you were put out to go out to dinner after a fucking a pandemic because you don't like the rules that are being put of, go fuck yourself. Go stay home and make dinner. You know what I mean? Because that's the one thing I think it's taught a lot of restaurant owners. And again, I think that we've let that slip away, because if we say something bad about it, the next guy's going to go, oh, that guy's an asshole. I'll do whatever you need me to do. No, dude, if you stuck to the bar as well and we all stuck to it, then we're great. This is perfect. And then we now tell the clients how we need things to be done, But no, it's the same thing with the tiny little tattoos on a finger. Oh, I'll do a portrait on your finger. I'm going to charge you $2,000 for it. It's going to look like dog shit. Now it becomes, can you do a portrait on my finger, Joe? No, it's not going to look good. Well, that guy will do it. So what I got to say? I got to say, okay, well then go to that guy.
Right.
Okay, sit down. I'll do it. You know what I mean? That's what's crazy about this. We've all lost our sense of fucking direction, and we're just doing whatever we can to hold on and to stay out there making money.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me. I don't think that's the way it should go down.
Yeah, it's crazy. Well, I'm glad you mentioned your road trip, because you're starting that next week, you said?
Yeah, I leave on Sunday. I'm leaving Easter Sunday. The first place I'm hitting is Rodney Raines, Ace Custom Tattoo. I've known Rodney since, 98 or 97. I don't remember. It's 97. Fuck, I don't remember. We've talked about it a couple of times. I keep forgetting. And I've known him. He's one of my best friends in the industry right now, And then from there, it's funny. I'm visiting all my old, people I've known for decades, from there I go to Snellville, Georgia. I hit Dave Attinito's shop in down there called Good Clean Fun. I've known Dave since my second year tattooing. We worked together for about 2 years, and I've done guest spots at his shops over the years. Then I go visit Jimmy Litwalk. We're hooking up with our friend Fudd from Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
We're going down to see Emerson from Hatchback Irons. We'll probably hit Jimmy's from Lucky. And then we're making my way. I'm going to go visit Sean Herman in Alabama, Turk in Tennessee, who moved from San Diego, and then the Ohio commit, and then Hell City. So.
And which spots do you have availability at?
I have availability in Charlotte at Rodney's. I have one spot available there, and I've got 2 spots available in Snellville, Georgia. And again, if for whatever reason it doesn't work out, I'm planning on doing the podcast at all these places. So that was part of the reason for going away for 2 weeks, was to try to hit all these different places and do the podcast with friends and reconnect.
Well, let's hope the books get filled up for you. If somebody does want to contact you in one of those spots to get a tattoo, what's the best way for them to hit you up?
Realistically, fucking Instagram. But I also have an email address. It's joe@joecapobianco.com. And that's a guaranteed way to hook up with me. But again, I've been telling everybody, out of convenience, if you see it on Instagram, just direct message me through Instagram, Okay.
I'm going to put all your contact info in the podcast as well. And then I'll get your travel dates from you as well, and I'll put those in there and the locations you're going to be at, so we can put all that in there as well. And hopefully we can.
We do have one other thing, and it's something I wanted to talk to you on the side about, but I'm going to drop it here
Okay.
just for the sake of doing so. One of the things that over the last several years, it's probably going back close to 5 years now, that I wanted to create was an app that basically it's like kind of a map-based app that basically connects tattooers to clients, but you're able to give your availability in real time. So if you come into work one day and you've got the app, you're on the app as a tattooer, you can come into work, find out you've got a cancellation. You could put on that app that your profile says you're available right now. If other people are in the area and they put in, like, a client gets the app, they put in a radius of where they are, 5 miles, 2 miles, whatever it is, and you pop up on that map, they can now reach out to you directly. And through your social media, this is not a booking app. This is not about trying to change the way you do all your businesses. This is literally an app for you to connect right then and there to tell people, hey, I'm available to anybody who's looking for a tattoo in that area. If somebody follows you, say you have a group of clients, you have 10 clients, instead of you having to text them directly or go through a fucking list, you just say, hey man, do me a favor, get the app, put on your notifications. Whenever I have a cancellation and I announce it, you're gonna get a fucking notification saying, oh, Joe's got an availability today. I need to check this out. If I'm going to a convention, anybody in that area from that convention, they'll know, oh, Joe's got Saturday available at that convention. We called it Tattoo Drop. My wife, Tom Strom, and Jackie Sandylands, his wife, 2 years ago, I dropped this idea to Jackie, and I never pulled the trigger, mainly because it's a lot of work. It's money. But I was convinced with Jackie to basically do it. And the four of us have basically been hammering it out over the past year and a half, 2 years. It's about to go beta. Like, we're about to beta test it.
Oh, you already got it going.
Yeah, we have it. Well, we have a meeting tomorrow with the app company that I paid to do it. And basically, we're going to start beta testing it tomorrow. Oh, I guess tomorrow is the beginning of the beta testing. I'm hoping over the next couple of months, I will be doing more conventions, hopefully quality ones. But the idea is, because I'm going to try pushing this app. And the idea with this is, like I said, it's not a booking app. It's a map-based tattoo artist, tattoo client connectivity app, letting people know what's in the area. Whether or not those artists are available, they'll pop up on the map. You have to be part of the fucking, you have to join the app to get it, to be that. It's not like a Yellow Pages or a Google ad. But we're hoping, or I'm hoping personally, that we can change the way artists are doing business and connect to real people, man. Not just have these people cold call the shop, because they checked out the listings on Google and they found out that there's shops in the area. You know what I mean? We want people to really kind of like find a connection between the artist and themselves. And the idea behind this is there will be like every artist, every client will have like a page where it's all their personal information. You'll have 9 photos. If you're a client, you can put 9 photos of your fucking dogs. If you're a tattooer, there'll be a profile photo and there'll be a bunch of, photos of your work. All your social media will be on there. All your booking information will be on you. We're not looking to book appointments for you. We're not looking to take people's credit cards for you. We're not looking to take any money from you other than what you paid to join the app, which will be a nominal fee, in all honesty. My concern, and this is something we talked about earlier, is the not frugalness, but how fucking picky tattooers are now. Like, nobody wants to make a fucking change, And I'm hoping that we're able to get people to back an artist-driven thing. This is not some big company that came up to us. This is an idea that the four of us have hammered out over the past year and a half, and I dumped a bunch of money into it that I don't fucking have. So I'm looking to try to get somebody back for it, at least to pay myself back. But yeah, I really hope that we're able to get artists to, we're going to make a big announcement, big rollout. I was hoping to do it at Hell City, but like I said, we're just starting beta now. So I don't think it's the right time to do it. But you're the first place that I've really kind of brought it up in such great detail.
Yeah, I like the idea because I will tell you honestly, with people knowing how connected I am in the industry to different artists. I get asked all the time. They're like, do you know an artist in Tallahassee, Florida? Do you know an artist in Dallas, Texas?
Exactly.
And then I got to sit and I got to think. I'm like, try to think about who I want to send them to. And it'd be so much easier if I just said, well, hey, here's a nice app that you could download and it's loaded with artists, just check out the area that they're in them and an artist that has availability will
And
pop
that's
up.
exactly the
And that'd be great.
mentality of individuals that I don't want to say have on board, although I would love to have you on board, but that's exactly it. The idea is that, people do that to me all the time and I never know what to tell them. But if I know full well that there are individuals on this app that you could literally just go on there and be like, yeah, dude, check these guys out, check out the app, download the app. You don't have to be in the city to do it. You could fucking, do a targeted search and it's going to tell you who those people are. And I would like to think that the majority of the people on the app are going to be quality. It's not all about, we're not looking to just fucking want rock stars on there because you know as well as I do, most rock stars don't want to talk to regular people.
Right.
We just want tattooers that are going to be like-minded, that want something that's not, I don't want to rely on Instagram. I mean, we rely on Instagram entirely too much and we've seen that bite us all in the ass. I don't want to rely on TikTok, but by the same token, I don't want to replace either one of those.
Right.
I just want to give people another option for them to connect with artists. And then you can use whatever bells and whistles you use at your disposal to get to those people after they've already connected with us.
Yeah, no, I think it's a solid idea. Well, I'll see you in Hell City for sure. I go,
Fantastic.
yeah, it's my favorite show. And Derb's one of my best friends. So,
Great.
I love going to that
I'd
show.
say I'd have you on my podcast, but I'm pretty certain we covered just about everything we talk about.
Well, hey, anytime you want to have me as a guest, I'd be honored.
Most certainly, dude. Like I like doing things. I want to be together. I did this once with Jimmy, and I just didn't care for it. It's not. Well, this was fun. This was really good. But I like doing the thing in front of people and having that connectivity.
Yeah, yeah. When I did my first podcast, I used to carry it around to all the conventions, and it was fun.
So I sat in when Scotty was doing the podcast with you.
Yeah. That's another thing too. You talk about burn bridges, and I felt that in my soul when you were talking about that, because Scotty's one of those guys that I'm not really friends with anymore. And
It's a shame.
I love that dude, man. I still love that dude to this day, and it's a tragedy that we had a falling out the way we had a falling out. And I felt that in my soul, man, the fact that you have friends and you lose friends over the course of time. And
it's one of those
fucking
things
sucks, man.
Like I said, this business. I mean, I'm guilty of it. I'll admit it. I've reconnected with a handful of people. There's still a couple of people that fucking good drop dead. I can give a fuck about them, and that will probably never change. But the fact of the matter is, yeah, there's a lot of that in this business, man. And a lot of it is just because people don't talk.
Well, it sucks that business comes in between people like that because Scotty's a good fucking dude. I love that guy, man. Like, he's such a good fucking guy.
I mean, as well as I do, the second a business enters the equation, it becomes an issue. I mean, when we moved locations, we were together for 6 years, 3 partners. And when we moved to this location, I was like, yeah, I'm taking it. Like, you guys can call it, you could say it's your own shop. I don't care. But the fact of the matter is there's got to be a fucking captain on the ship because I can't rely on partners. It's going to become a problem. It was becoming a problem. And I was swallowing a lot of shit in order to not rock the boat,
Yeah. Scotty and I had a lot of fun on that podcast, that was a good time.
I sat in on one in Lenore, North Carolina, and I would watch and listen every now and again. But yeah, and it was a fun time. And Scotty's a real dude, man. Like he's he has a different perspective on the business. Like we had him on my podcast like shortly after I started doing it, and it was a blast. And I've known Scotty for a long time, and it's like it was nice to have. A lot of people were just like, "Who the fuck is this guy?" And I'm like, the fact that you don't know that's lesser for you. You know what I mean? Like it goes to show me who you are. And there's a lot of that in this business. We see that all the time. People don't know anybody because they're so in their own little world that they don't care about anything that came before or is happening right now. And that's something I don't want to find myself in. I want to get to know everybody and still connect with people. That's why I started my podcast.
Yeah, I think you're doing great with yours too. What's the name of your podcast, just in case somebody wants to check it out?
It's Not For Nothing. NotFernuthin. So, and it's on YouTube. I need to start getting stuff on Spotify and stuff. I started putting some stuff up on just audio stuff, but I've just been a real flake about it.
Use Podbean. The reason why I like the
We
reason why I
have
like,
an old Podbeam account for the shop from, fuck, dude, like 16 years ago we did one.
yeah, it's so super easy. And I love this Riverside app that I'm using to do the podcast because it's great. It like, I just hit the record button, and once I go process the video, it'll just, speaking of AI, I mean, it's great because it's integrated into the tool. So it'll automatically generate 30 to 60-second sound bites for me and little clips that I can put on Instagram and social. I don't have to do any of that. I mean, it's just so streamlined and easy, you know?
I've used that for this. I've used Riverside once before. I've tried a couple of different AI things to help with the with my podcast. It's just that I'm a fucking spaz when it comes to this stuff, dude. I'm still trying to figure it out. It's been a year. It's literally last month was a year, and it's driving me crazy still. You know, like I'm dreading this road trip because I did the California road trip, and it was guerrilla style, dude. Like I sat with Nico, I sat with London. I did one. I had Eric Inklin, Freddie Negretti, Dennis McPhail, Corey Miller, and
Oh my
myself.
gosh.
And I had one of Eric's friends helping me with the cameras and stuff. And it was great, but the quality is not amazing. Now I've got 5 cameras on, 6 guys. It was nuts, but it was fun. I mean, it was definitely a lot of fun. But I think what I've noticed is a lot of people's biggest complaints are, it's like, oh, the quality's not amazing. And I'm like, yeah, it's because I'm not a fucking producer. Sure. If you want to hear real stories from real fucking people
Yeah, you're,
without
you're
all the hubbub.
like the video and subscribe so I can monetize it, and then I'll hire a producer.
Thank you. Exactly. You want to see things get better? Back the bitch.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, Joe, man, it's been an honor, dude. I love you and respect you so much, man. And just thanks for taking time with me today. And good luck on your road trip. And I'll see you in Hell City, and we'll chop it up some more.
Thank you, sir. I really appreciate the time, man. Thanks for asking. I'll see you at Hell City.
All right, brother.
Take care, man.
Bye.
Bye.